It was custom made by Martine Rose, so I'm gonna go with closer to like $5,000.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say 30,000.
A woman is facing charges involving a car that crashed into an Independence daycare on Wednesday, but she wasn't the one behind the wheel.
Oh no!
Police say the driver was an impatient 11-year-old boy. Count On Me Academy remains partially closed from the crash, only serving younger children on the north side of the building. The other half of the building is blocked off, where a bush is missing in front of the brick building, where there's a large crack and portion of the wall below the window is pushed in significantly, as you see right there. Now, quote, the window was pushed in, it looks like at least 4 inches or more. You can see the edging there, so it's probably going to have to cost a little bit more to get fixed, according to Lisa Greenwall, who works at the salon next door.
Oh, yeah.
Police say a mother arrived at 4 p.m. to pick up her kid from daycare, left her 11-year-old son in the car. Shailene Williams went on to say, quote, it's kind of scary leaving an 11-year-old car in a car unattended. Boy told police his mom was taking too long inside, so he decided to drive off. Thought the car was in reverse, but it was actually in drive. He crashed into the building. Thankfully, nobody was injured. Damage was bad enough. Daycare's owner said they're still working to determine what repairs need to be made.
Well, first of all, you got to bring the bush back, put that in there, and then you got to redo the... that's going to take major repair to that wall.
Police have cited the mother for endangering the welfare of a child for leaving him in the car with it running.
I mean, that used to happen all the time when I was a kid. Here's the difference. Yeah,
at least they leave the AC on now or the windows down.
I mean, no, my mom would leave the car running, like to run to the store or whatever. But if I were 11 and got behind the wheel and took off, I did not want to go home. I can tell you that, because I do not know what the reaction would be, but it would not have been great from Randy Brown.
Yeah,
he would not have liked that decision by me. I'm not saying he would have killed me.
So thieves used a stolen credit card to buy a winning French lottery ticket worth 523,000 American dollars. But then they vanished before cashing in, and now they're among France's most famous fugitives. Now, the man whose card was stolen, identified in police documents as Jean David, is offering to split the cash with the lucky winners. He wants his wallet back as well. Now, the thieves, meanwhile, face the risk of arrest. As of Saturday, the lottery operator said that no one had submitted the ticket to cash. Now, Jean David's attorney told the AP, quote, it's an incredible story, but it's all true. Jean David discovered earlier this month that his backpack had been stolen from his car, and it had bank cards and other documents, according to his attorney. Jean David asked his bank to block the card, learned it had already been used in a local shop. That's when he filed a police complaint about the theft, but it was ready. He was ready to withdraw it if the thieves come forward so he can share the money with them. Now, he went on public and said, quote, without them, no one would have won. Prosecutors may try to seize the winnings, according to this, considering them illegally obtained gains, according to his attorney. His attorney launched national appeal Thursday, asking their perpetrators to contact his office to make a deal. He went on to say,
zero chance.
You risk nothing. We will share with you, you would be able to change your lives.
That's what you tell me you will do. Yeah,
exactly.
I'm not buying that at all.
I'll tell you what, I have left the backpack at an undisclosed time with, here's my bank account.
Yes. So tell me this. If I steal a lottery ticket here in the United States, I don't know how it would work in France, but if I steal in the United States, I can't get in trouble for cashing it in. They don't know who bought it, right?
Well, what you're supposed to do, and I don't know anybody that does this.
Sign the back.
Sign the back.
Yeah. But if Dunaway had bought a lottery ticket, he leaves it laying there, I steal it, it's the winning ticket, I go cash it in. They don't know that Dunaway bought that, do they?
I don't want to go to Pat Adams, but I do believe there's video review.
Well, I think there's probably video now everywhere.
Next round on the go. Whether you're driving to work, running errands, sitting on the beach, or you just need a break from the real world, we can keep you company. Check out the Next Round, Mystery Fifth Hour, and our other shows on your favorite podcast app. We'll meet you there.
Start your day online with our website, nextroundlive.com, the latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. It's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com. That's nextroundlive.com.
Think about the best summer nights of your life. How many of those were in a great t-shirt? Visit nextround.store to get the perfect t-shirt for the next perfect southern night. Nextround.store. The memories are waiting.
As we all know, there's no off-season when it comes to college football. If you want to stay in the know with all things Alabama, join us over on covercrimson.com and get $25 off your annual subscription. We'll keep you up to date and give you exclusive content all the way to the first Saturday of football season on covercrimson.com.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the next round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
All right, biggest basketball game in the country tonight. Ranked matchup is in Tuscaloosa. We'll get to Mississippi State and Alabama. Auburn in action again tomorrow night, but Auburn's in the news coming up in just a second as well, as they're number one in the AP poll again. We'll talk history about that. We've got some NFL news as the combine is going, and a lot of other stuff to get to today. LTD&B, Forrester and Melton, and Tyler behind the big glass. Little T is on social media at Next Round Live. Remember, thumbs up wherever you're watching us. Like and subscribe and comment, and we appreciate you being with us today. Beautiful weather day. It's going to be that way again today. Spring is here.
Don't say that.
But spring is here.
It's not here till we went through this the other day. It's like March 21st.
Oh, spring is here.
No,
Are you hitting it today?
I'm going to the golf course today for first time in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's been a crappy 2 weeks of golf weather here. I don't disagree with you.
I was sitting there yesterday at the house with it 70 degrees outside, scratching, saying,
I know.
I was texting, can anybody go play? Let's go play. So I ended up going to the driving
range. The last
range.
time I played was before you started playing again.
Yeah. I went 7 years.
Yeah, because it was at Heatherwood, and it was pre-2020.
Yeah, it was pre-pandemic. Yeah, pandemic. I started playing every day because there was nothing else to do.
Was that the match where I was playing? I was playing my ball against you, David Walls, and Dunaway.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't really remember much except Walls started heating up when he started drinking.
Oh, he got in the beer window, and I had put it in cruise control. I think I was 3 holes up with 4 holes to go, and he got in the beer window and started making birdies. Yeah. We had trouble after that.
Ended up being a push.
I think we tied. Yeah. I blew a late lead.
Is that course still with us?
It is not.
It is not. They shut it down again.
Pour one out. I think that might be it. I don't think anybody's gonna dive into that one again.
Yeah, but what do you do with that land in the middle of the neighborhood?
It just grows.
Yeah, and that's sad for
laser
the
tag park.
Laser tag, yeah.
Paintball.
So we got a lot to get to, but I want to start with what's going on in Dallas-Fort Worth. By the way, one cool thing about the Dallas-Fort Worth airport, there are hotels and meeting rooms right there inside the airport. You never have to leave security. You just get off your plane. You can check into a hotel. You can go to a meeting room today at the Dallas-Fort Worth airport at a hotel ballroom in the Dallas-Fort Worth airport. Greg Sankey is there. Tony Petitti is there. All the other conference commissioners are there. Notre Dame's athletic director is there. And they're presenting the plan today. And according to Brandon Marcello of CBS Sports and those others that are covering this, today they will accomplish 2 things. They will ask everyone in the room, let's change the seating immediately for the 2025 playoffs, the next one, to where you're not guaranteed a bye by being one of the top 4 highest-ranked conference champions. They just want the top 4 highest-rated teams to get the bye. That's got to be unanimous. And then after that, they will also present their 14-team playoff, and that's the number we've settled at apparently, not 16 but 14.
Which is surprising because that doesn't come with more TV money. I think the 16 would trigger more money.
That makes sense.
According to Marcello, it's the 14-team projection for 2026, which is the 4-4-2-2-1 and Notre Dame or a wild card, depending on if Notre Dame meets the criteria. So my question to you guys, let's go first with the changing of seeding. How do you think that'll play out? I'll point this out. Arizona State and Boise State, who got the byes, got $8 million just for playing in that round of the playoffs. I think you got $2 million or $4 million if you played in the first round. If you played in a quarterfinal game, you got $8 million. So there was a financial benefit for just starting in the quarterfinals.
You got paid like you played in 2 rounds and you only played in 1, which is why this will not pass, Lance. Because if you're the Big 12 and the ACC, why would you consider giving up that bye spot when you get paid for 2 rounds of football and only have to play 1?
Yeah, you wouldn't. I mean, look, on the surface, it looks ridiculous that Arizona State, SMU, and even Georgia, to a degree, had byes.
Yeah, I would just say, Jim, if it does pass unanimously, it just shows you the strength of Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti, that they can go in and they hold absolutely all the cards, whatever those cards are.
Because to keep this all going, all the other conferences basically gave more money to the Big Ten and the SEC and basically control of the playoffs starting in 2026. So basically, next year you don't need the unanimous vote. The SEC and the Big Ten make the rules.
Yeah, and you would think so. Here's what we've talked about in the past, Lance. Like if you're the Big 12 and the ACC, obviously you're against this. But the SEC and the Big Ten could come and say, we're going to remember this, okay? We're going to remember this when it comes time.
For another expansion?
For another expansion. We will remember that you did not do this. Now, if they've already been handed control, does that make, Lance, that threat
more?
I would say more because they're going to be in control, right? And they're going to be able to say, now remember, before you vote, you guys have handed us control of this starting next year. So
yeah, you're wondering if you're the ACC and the Big 12, if you just get as much as you can in this short window of time.
Yeah.
Knowing that if you cave now, whether you cave now or you inevitably wait for the SEC and the Big Ten to take total control.
Yeah.
I don't think you cave yet, though.
That's exactly what I would write on the big screen. The big whiteboard, if I was Greg Sankey, I'd walk up there. Okay, if we're not unanimous on changing the bids this year, here's going to be our plan next year. Forget what I just presented to you where you guys get 2 auto bids in the Big Ten and the ACC. We're going to go 4 auto SEC, 4 auto Big Ten, and then wild cards with no autos for the Big 12 or the ACC. Or we may just, North Carolina and somebody may want to join the Big Ten, and we may want to NC State and Virginia Tech and the SEC. You could do a lot of threats if you're Greg Sankey. You could get up there and start drawing the map of the United States and coloring in the old purple and gold and pick up a couple other states down here and whatever the colors are for the Big Ten and just start coloring the map like it's election night.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to go that far. I just don't know, for the health of college football.
Well, this is a meetings behind closed doors. A lot of threats happen behind meetings.
Well, I think
closed doors.
If this comes out unanimous, I mean, the Big Ten and the ACC have voted against their own best interest for 1 year, so you know how big a stick Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti are swinging at that point. Because why would you vote against your own best interest in this?
Because sometimes you take a hit for 1 year to make more money in the next 6 or 7 years after
and that's what I'm saying. And that's where Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti are like, okay, we're going to show you plan A, and this is where you make more money, or we're going to show you plan B.
Yep.
And this is where you're going to vote to make maybe more money for 1 year, but not enough over the next 6 years.
But if I'm the ACC and the Big 12, I'm like, you guys, the SEC didn't even win a game in this postseason.
That's right. But guess what?
I'm still not counting Texas.
We're going to have 4 teams in it next year.
Isn't that crazy, though? The SEC did not win a game.
Yeah.
Well, again,
traditional SEC.
Yeah.
I think the SEC would say they did.
Yeah.
But, I mean, does that not blow you away that Texas is the only team that actually won a game in this postseason?
It does. I hate it that that's the case, honestly.
So it's a big day in college football when it comes to the future of how we'll decide the championship. ESPN's got the contract for 6 more years after this year, but 1 more year on the old contract. New contract kicks in 2026. So I don't know if we'll get a vote today on changing the seating. But we'll keep you posted if anything breaks. Early meeting in Dallas-Fort Worth. Even the ACC commissioner who says winning the conference has to matter, and I think getting an automatic bid gives you that. But he says, but I'm open to listening to ideas. So even Jim Phillips is saying, I think we should keep it the way it is, but I'm open to listening.
Well, I mean, why would you have a conference champion if they don't get an auto?
Well, they get the auto bid.
They just might not get a bye.
They just don't get a bye. Yeah. So
and I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that, too, because obviously the buys didn't make sense this year.
Well, I'm not going to say I knew from day one because it could have worked out. But I said from day one that was my big concern is that we had put so much reward on being a conference champion, and all conferences are not created equal. Yeah. So I don't think we needed – I know we didn't need to give them buys. Yeah. An automatic berth I'm fine with. Like, I'm okay. I mean, each conference is going to get a team in anyway, so you may as well just give everybody an automatic berth that has a conference champion.
Yeah. Are you okay with 2 for the ACC and the Big 12?
In a 16-team playoff, yeah.
But not a 14?
I mean, I need to see it play out. I do think it gets a little dicey in a 14-team playoff.
Yeah. I think at a 16, it's got to be 2 and 2.
Yeah. I mean, this past year,
you're only guaranteed a fourth of the field from half the conferences.
This past year, the ACC would have had 3, I believe.
That's right.
Because Miami would have been in the top 14.
That's right.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
don't take it back to 2016.
We did that the other day. It gets confusing.
Yeah. The SEC is like, okay, from 2017 on.
Yeah. What would the Big 12 have had? Did we? And we don't spend too much time on this.
It was like 2 or 3.
Would they have gotten 2 this year though?
This year I've got it.
Did Iowa State finish in the top 14?
At 16, 14 they would not have. At 16, we decided that Iowa State or BYU would have been one of them.
Now, I will say, we talk about this in the conference basketball tournaments. Go back to Clemson, SMU, ACC championship game. Clemson would not have gotten in without being the ACC champion in a 14-team playoff. SMU would have easily been in a 14-team playoff. They were in a 12-team playoff. Miami would have not easily, but would have been in a 14-team playoff. Now, all of a sudden, and we talk about this all the time in these conference tournaments, we used to talk about it with Gonzaga, and I don't guess it ever happened, but Gonzaga was always in the NCAA tournament. And when they were playing in their tournament championship game, they were frequently playing a team that might not have been. That's and, boy, you start getting some calls going the other way, and you start to wonder, is the West Coast Conference just trying to ring the register
That's
again?
Right. Let's get two teams in and cash a check.
And if you're the ACC and you're in that situation last year, SMU guaranteed in, Miami pretty much guaranteed in. Boy, does SMU get any calls in that game? Because now I get to ring the register with team number 3.
I think we did have some interesting calls in that game down the stretch.
Well, it was the only way Clemson was getting in.
Yeah, I think we did. And now that I remember as well. There's no wild card if it's a 14-team like they're talking about. There's 4, 4, 2, 2, 1 for the group of 5, 1 for Notre Dame if they meet the criteria. That's 14.
See, I don't like that.
If Notre Dame doesn't make it,
that's
means,
one wild card, right?
So that would mean, this is the question, then that would mean a really good 5th-place SEC team sometimes.
Yeah.
Not going because second-place ACC or Big 12, which could be less than.
I just can't believe we're stopping at 14. Is there anybody alive that doesn't think this thing will be 16 one day?
Hey, and if we don't have wild cards, why do we need a committee? Doesn't they take human
Yeah. All you got to do is seed them at that
human
point.
elements out at that
Well, I mean,
point?
they just show up at the championship weekend and do seeding, right? Like the selection committee does.
Seeding would be it. Yep, that'd be it. And I'm sort of okay with that part of it.
Yeah, I'm okay with that part of it, but I like the wild card part of it.
All right, so we'll see what comes out of Dallas-Fort Worth today, seeing what comes out of LT's scalp thanks to Dr. B. That scalp started growing back again, and that hair is expanded from a 12-team, 14, maybe a 16-team bracket up there one day. We'll talk basketball in just a second.
Speaking of numbers, you never know when you're going to start thinning out. It could be in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. Whatever it is, be preemptive. Go see our man, Dr. Beckenstein, best in the business for more than 20 years. Women and men have turned to Dr. B for a range of cosmetic and reconstructive procedures. He will use that experience, his advanced training, genetic testing to help his patients fully understand the procedures they are considering. Call Dr. B and that great staff today. Tell them the next round sent you. 205-319-0316. T3 has that new test. So easy, painless, affordable. Takes 4 seconds to perform. It's going to show which medicines and compounds will specifically work for your hair loss. Men and women ordering Hims, other products online, don't even know if they work. Stop wasting your money, critical time while you're losing hair on treatments that aren't working for you. Find out what will work for you. Come see Dr. B and that great staff. Tell them the next round sent you. 205-319-0316 or T3hair.net.
Okay, so in SEC basketball, when it comes to the Associated Press poll and being ranked number 1, there's Kentucky historically, and now there's Auburn. Kentucky, Auburn. Kentucky, Auburn. Pretty good company there. Number 1 for the 7th straight week, the Auburn Tigers in the AP poll. Only Kentucky has had a longer streak at number 1. They did it for 19 weeks one time.
You're talking about in the SEC, right?
From the SEC. Yeah. 19 weeks one time. They did it 11 weeks one time. Twice they did it for 8 weeks. And now here's Auburn for 7 weeks. Nobody else other than Kentucky and the SEC has been on top of the AP poll longer than Kentucky 4 times and now Auburn.
I'm a bit surprised Florida doesn't check in there. Those Billy Donovan teams. Yeah.
06, 07. I mean, I don't know how they don't, because you win the championship in 6.
And bring everybody back, right?
Everybody's back, and you win it the very next year. So I don't even know how that's possible.
Yeah, that is wild that Florida. I'll go back and look. What year Florida was that? Because they must have lost a couple early games. I don't remember them doing it. Was the 07, 08 Florida basketball?
06,
07?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll look it up.
Yeah, and sometimes it's who's ahead of you. There's some blue bloods. I love when I jump way out on a limb with a definite comment, and then you guys come back with...
Well, I mean, 06, 07, when you win back-to-back national championships, it does seem like...
It does.
So
because I just don't remember any teams being dominant right there.
So Florida started the regular season number 1, and they were number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks until they lost to Kansas, and then they got back number 1 in January for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks.
I don't have 7. I don't have Florida here. I got them at 6. I don't have them at 7.
I got them at 9 straight weeks until Vanderbilt beat them in the Mem Gym. Well, you do not want to go in that place, do you?
You do not.
Yeah.
I don't have them at 9 either.
That's the only one that I would have, because Arkansas, they might have done it, but it was probably in the Southwest Conference days.
Yeah, I bet they did do it.
Yeah, but it was probably Southwest Conference days before they came to the SEC.
I do not have Florida doing that, Browning, on my list of all-time AP poll.
I'm looking at Wikipedia, and I'm going to say
And you just did the second year. You didn't do 0506, right?
Oh, well, now, wait a minute, Jim. This is Coach's Poll. I don't know why Wikipedia uses Coach's Poll.
Okay,
so you're still alive.
I'm just looking
But
at
that's
the
just the
Associated Press.
0607 team,
That is
right?
0607,
Because
yeah.
0506 started 17-0. So I don't know where that would have gotten them. Pretty high.
I could tell you. Well, but again, for some reason, Wikipedia is using the Coach's Poll, and as the MyBookie.ag chat told us last week, the Coach's Poll is no good. Before the Auburn, Alabama.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago,
yeah.
you do not look
I
at the
think that was
Coach's
2 weeks
Poll.
ago
I
now.
got some of that on Twitter too, like Coach's Poll. That's not it. They don't
Hey,
even
we
watch
will never see
basketball.
that again. By the way, the Florida Gators starting five, they were all selected in the first 10 picks of the first round of the 2007 draft. I mean, that's crazy. Your entire starting lineup's in the top 10 picks.
Like even Joakim Noah, whatever his name was?
He went ninth, yeah. Horford third, Corey Brewer seventh, Noah ninth, Torian Green, and Chris Richard. Oh, never mind.
I was about to say, that did not add up.
Horford, Brewer, and Joakim all went in the top 9, and then Green and Richard went in the second round.
I mean, those are just dominant teams, and I think sometimes we forget. I don't know if we forget how dominant they are. I mean, you just watch a game at Florida, and Billy Donovan's name's on the actual court.
Yeah, but getting those guys, so many of them, to come back for another year was so important. That was pre-NIL, too, so they were passing up money. Horford's still playing in the NBA. I mean, he's still
hell of a career.
And I don't think Donovan has – I guess he's not regretted going to the NBA, but can you imagine what that program would have been or what he would have been had he stayed in college basketball?
Oh, gosh.
Because he might have been the coach at Kentucky. He might have been the coach at North Carolina. He might have been the coach at Duke.
And we'd be talking about Florida.
I know.
Being the modern-day Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, that guy was not going to fall off.
And I think a lot of people forget about Mike Miller and Teddy Dupay, early on before that run, because everybody's like, he had 2 great years, that was it. Not true. Played for a national championship in Izzo's only national championship.
Yep. And Kruger had him pretty good before Billy even got down at Florida. But so Auburn's historic there with 7 straight weeks on the AP poll. Duke is number 2. Florida is 3. Houston, Tennessee. Bama drops to 6, right ahead of St. John's. Michigan State, Iowa State, Texas Tech. Last night, Houston beating Texas Tech down in Lubbock there. You see the other SEC teams listed.
That was a fun game. That place is electric.
Yeah. Chris Beard woke it up.
Can I?
Bobby Knight tried to.
Can I make a book by cover stereotype?
Yeah, go ahead.
Comment. I
assume it's not about the AP poll, but go ahead.
No, it's not about the Associated Press poll at all. It's about Texas Tech. I think they're kind of the Roughnecks of the Texas fan bases. Do you see what I mean by that?
I do.
Not a rough element, but I just think they probably got a hard edge to them.
Well, they're the ones represented in Landman. Have you been watching Landman?
I've not watched it, but I can.
A lot of Texas Tech.
I could see Texas Tech fans in Landman. I mean, that if you've ever been to Lubbock, and I haven't been, but I've been close, and it's in the middle of nowhere, my man. I mean, you got to, and I don't think their weather's very good. Like, I think
that seems like tumbleweed weather.
Tumbleweed weather. So I think when you go in there, you're going into a hornet's nest. Now, their record doesn't always show that in football or basketball, but I think that's probably a tough place to play.
One of my best friends went to school there and said it was pretty bad.
You watched that game last night in Houston. They had to fight that crowd, and Texas Tech was a couple players down, but boy, that crowd was into it.
Yeah, but Cryer was a non-factor. They shot 29%. Just didn't play a good basketball game last night.
69-61, Houston wins that. It clinches their second Big 12 title. They become the first school since Idaho, the Vandals, in 1922 and 1923 to join a new conference and win that conference the first 2 years. The Vandals did it in 1922 and 1922 and 1923 back in the old Pacific Coast League. So it's been over 100 years since somebody has joined a new league and won that league the first 2 years. That's what Houston has done. Of course, they were set up for success when they joined the Big 12. because of what they had done in the American before they did that. So really impressive for them. Back to the AP poll where Auburn is number 1 for the 7th straight week. Remember, Auburn was not in the AP top 10 to start the season. They were 11th. Bama was number 2. Kansas was number 1. Kansas out of the poll for the first time in almost half a decade. But what really is crazy is that we have gotten as bad in the media at projecting and putting out a preseason basketball poll as we do in football. What's the record in football? We have at least one team in the top 10 that drops out of the top 25.
Every year. Yeah, all the way out of the top 25, not just out of the top 10. They completely leave the poll, and frequently it's more than one, but it's almost always one. Yeah.
Can you imagine the uproar if we had half of them? That's where we are in basketball right now. Preseason top 10 included Kansas.
Okay.
Number 1. They're out now. UConn, not in the top 25.
They were number 2?
No, Alabama was number 2.
Okay.
But UConn was in the top 10.
Gotcha.
They're out of the top 25. Also, Gonzaga, they were in the top 10. They're out of the top 25. Baylor was in the top 10. They're out of the top 25. And North Carolina was in the top 10. They're out of the top 25.
Well,
Auburn was not in the top 10. They're number 1.
Maybe the overall number 1 seed in all likelihood.
St. John's wasn't ranked.
Yeah.
Yep.
Texas Tech wasn't
But
ranked.
when you and I think I don't know if this play. You guys tell me if you think it plays in more in college basketball or college football. Every one of those you mentioned, with the exception of North Carolina,
Preach.
I trust the coach. Is that what you were thinking I was going to say?
Yep. You got a little bit of blue blood, but it's usually the coach. It's
Well, I
coach
mean,
driven.
how much do you trust Bill Self in the regular season? Almost implicitly, right?
yeah.
They used to win the Big 12 every year
Every
until
year.
Houston got here.
Lance has said it before. Death taxes at Kansas winning the Big 12. As Dunaway said, until Houston showed up, and they were like, Kelvin Sampson could coach, huh? Dan Hurley.
Yep.
Dan Hurley believes Dan Hurley's the best
they'll
effing
let
coach
you know.
in America.
Don't want to go to dinner with him, but he's a hell of a basketball coach.
Who else is Scott Drew? I mean, I trust Scott Drew. Baylor's got good programs year after year after year.
Mark Few and Gonzaga.
Mark Few. How do you not trust Mark Few? Now, I don't trust Hubert Davis.
Yeah, but it was North Carolina.
But it's North Carolina. That is a brand.
Yep.
But, I mean, that's primarily just coaches you absolutely trust to be there. I mean, it's like an easy vote. Like, who's Kansas got on the roster? I don't know, but they got Bill Self coaching, so I'm going to put them in the top 10.
And that's kind of the way it should be. I mean, you guys remember we'd go to SEC Media Days. Damn, Alabama is the consensus preseason number 1. Everybody's got them to win the SEC. They've only got 3 returning starters on offense.
Only 3 starters on the
We've
whole team?
Never seen their quarterback before. It doesn't matter.
But they got Nick Saban.
Yeah.
That's what it always was.
But I don't know that I've got that many guys in football. I mean, who in college football do you put in that category? Kirby. All right, next.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I trust Ryan Day to always have a good program and always be right there in the mix. Until this year, I didn't trust Ryan Day to win a national championship.
Yeah, but I mean, are there even coaches like Brian Kelly? I thought when he took this job, like, just a matter of time. And it still might be. This might be the year, who knows? But, like, would you go digits to dollars that they're ever 500 or worse?
That Brian Kelly is ever 500 or worse? I'd bet against it.
I'd bet against it.
I would bet against it too, but like,
I'm not
would
willing
you
to put a
feel
digit on the
really
line.
good about that
No.
now with SEC schedules and everything. Hell, you just never know.
Well, I find it hard to believe Ryan Day will never not make a 12, 14, or
I know.
16 team playoff.
Well, and we said that about Alabama, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but if,
Clemson had to sneak in this year.
but if this playoff gets to 16, Ryan Day will never be out of it, period.
Well, Kirby Smart will never be out of it.
I don't think so.
Sark, just with talent, probably will never be out of it.
I'm not willing to say Kirby or Sark because it's the SEC. It is 9, 10, 11. I got a project later on in the show. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow we can get to, but on what we're talking about here.
I mean, but
the SEC.
I would guess, Lance, just offhand, the last time Ohio State, if the Big Ten does get the 4 automatic bids, the last time Ohio State finished outside
Luke Fickell.
the top 4 was the Luke Fickell year, and that was an asterisk year. I mean, he took over after a coach had been fired. It was a one-off year. I don't know how far you have to go back before that in the Tressel era just to find it.
Interesting you bring up Fickell. I read today, we did the exercise last week, next coach to win first national championship, and I saw that ESPN did it to some degree today. But their wild cards, they had the obvious and the next in line, and then like wild cards were Brian Kelly, Luke Fickell, which I agree with now, Lane Kiffin, and Lincoln Riley. But it's just crazy. When Lincoln Riley and Brian Kelly both took those jobs, would you guys, and I'm sure we probably said it, year in, year out, these guys will be in the college football playoff with LSU and USC.
Oh, I believe I mean, it's been almost a full year since I've updated a stake bet, but I do believe like 5 years for Brian Kelly to win a national championship or something was one of our stake bets. I mean, it wasn't if he was going to win one, it's when he was going to win one. And I would say Lincoln Riley, same way when he got to USC, we're like Lincoln Riley's success at Oklahoma, and now he's going to get to USC.
I just thought his quarterback would be Caleb Williams every year. Yeah. I thought he would have the best quarterback every single year.
NIL with USC, Sunshine, the Coliseum, those helmets, the Song Girls. How is that not a recipe for success?
I like that the Song Girls get thrown in there.
They'd be
they could get on NIL.
They'd be head of recruiting for me.
Yeah, I mean,
for me as a 13-year-old boy in the trailer park.
I don't know if the only fan. I don't know if it works where you get a percentage whoever has that website, but that's where I'd recruit there.
Why was it? Because this is against conventional thinking that the long sleeve sweaters made them better. Yeah. Like normally, for most men, the fewer clothes, the better, right? But not in the case of the Song Girls.
Yeah,
it was those sweaters.
I think they were some of the few that could actually make those sweaters look good.
Yeah, because their legs started at Burbank and went to the intersection of the 4 and the 5. That's why. Burbank. I mean, my goodness, they look good on TV. One more thing to get to in this segment after Brownie tells us about our friends at A+.
That is my man, Brad Bell at A+ Bath and Kitchen. And he's the one that redid the master bath in the Brown house. When it came time to redo our master bath, my wife got on the internet and scoured the heck out of that thing. She read reviews of certain contractors, talked to people that had used certain contractors. She picked Brad Bell. I'm glad she did. He does tremendous work. His crews were on time every day. They were clean. They were courteous. They brought us in at the end of each workday and said, we want to cover everything we've done today to make sure it meets your expectations. Listen, I could not have had a better experience with Brad. A+bathandkitchen.com is the website. That is A+bathandkitchen.com. What Brad specializes in is master bath, kitchen, and master bedroom closet remodels. That's not to say it's all he does, but it is definitely his specialty. And the reason that matters is you spend a lot of time in those rooms, and when you go to sell your home, you'll make your money back to a certain extent from those rooms. So get on Brad today and tell him I need you to come over and look at my job. Here's his number, 205-422-1758. That's 205-422-1758. Or just go to the website, A+bathandkitchen.com. That is A+bathandkitchen.com.
Stephen Pearl in the next segment. Last night, Kansas, who's out of the top 25 for the first time. North Carolina, they won their 4th straight last night. Maybe they're heating up a little bit. We told you about Houston and Texas Tech. Michigan beat Nebraska on the road for the Wolverines, 49-46. 49-46 in the shot clock era.
How do you do that?
Good win for Michigan on the road as they fought one out. Tonight's Mississippi State and Alabama, 8 o'clock on ESPN2. Florida, number 3 in the country, on the road at Georgia. Number 5, Tennessee on the road at LSU. Number 2, Duke at Miami. Some good late-night basketball. But we talk Auburn, number 1 in the AP poll for the 7th straight week. Stephen Pearl on the home stretch when we come back on TNR.
Call the next round now at 205-734-0923.
Man, I love a good meal. I'm Jim Dunaway. A good meal is what you get with my friend Sterling at Champy's Chicken on Highway 119 in Alabaster. We're talking great southern fried chicken, wonderful sides, hand-cut chicken fingers, po' boys, and those Mississippi Delta recipe tamales. You got a perfect menu for everybody. Champy's Chicken is perfect for watching the big game, or taking a meal to the lake house, down to the coast, or stay in the restaurant and dine in a great atmosphere. It's all made fresh to order right there on 119 in Alabaster, Champy's Chicken.
Hey, there's nothing worse than waking up to a plumbing problem. Don't get caught in a flooded house. Call the guys at Hemp Hill Services. Adam, Chad, and the team at Hemp Hill are the only ones I trust to fix it and fix it right the first time. Hemp Hill Services does it right and always at a fair price. For all of your plumbing, cooling, and heating needs, trust the name that Birmingham has trusted since 1954. That is Hemp Hill Services. Call now, 205-229-2090. That's 205-229-2090.
Just because you've quit going to the gym, it doesn't mean that you have to quit gym altogether. Dunaway, that is. With our Next Round podcast, it's open 24/7, 365. You can access Jim anytime you'd like. While you may have done away with your treadmill routine, our version of Done Away is standing by ready to get you back to your absolute best. Find all that lovely Jimmy D-led content on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and in the podcast section of nextroundlive.com. This message is sponsored by Jimmy Crypto Inc. and Jimmy Crypto for President.
By now, you guys know how I feel about my fashion. However, did you know that I care about your fashion choices? Cargo shorts are out, flip-flops are only appropriate on the boat, and please throw away that stained t-shirt from college. You may be thinking, EG, that's all I own. What do I do? Here's what you do. Go to nextround.store and fill your cart with a wardrobe that is approved by me. Stock up on logo t-shirts, hoodies for football season, and hats for every day of the week. Trust me on this one and head over to nextround.store to get stocked up for this season.
Looking to expand your business? Let the Next Round help you. Contact us, sales@nextroundlive.com, and be part of the team. Advertise your product to hundreds of thousands of potential customers on our ever-expanding platforms. The Next Round can take your business to the next level. Join our existing partners in the fastest-growing media space, both live and on demand, while reaching the most desirable audience for your business. Get more information by emailing sales@nextroundlive.com, and one of our team members will work with you to build a plan to take your business to the next level using the Next Round.
Happy football season. At the Next Round, we strive to make our loyal listeners feel like they're a part of the action all season long. My name is Emily Grace McWhorter, and I do that by bringing you along for any given Saturday in Auburn or Tuscaloosa. From pregame warm-ups, touchdowns that make you feel a part of the play, and everything in between, our goal is to make you feel like you're inside Bryant-Denny or Jordan-Hare. Follow along on our social media at Next Round Live on Instagram, X, and Facebook. Also, check out thebarnauburn.com and covercrimson.com while you're at it. Here's to fall Saturdays.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop. Rare quality, well-done service.
All right, Auburn fans, I want you to become a member of thebarnauburn.com and join in on the fun. Whether it's recruiting discussions, off-season chatter, or the latest Auburn athletics news, we've got it all. Get $25 off your annual subscription when you sign up for your account at thebarnauburn.com today. War Eagle.
When you crave activity like we do, you belong in the Roback family. Get the best golf wear, hoodies, and activewear for men and women at Roback.com. Use promo code TNR20 to get 20% off your order. That's Roback.com, promo code TNR20.
We talked a lot in the first segment about Auburn being number 1 in the AP poll for the 7th straight week. They got Ole Miss tomorrow night. Little T and I will be there for that one down at Neville. And then Saturday, they're on ABC against Kentucky. Yesterday, practice at Memorial Coliseum there in Lexington. Lamont Butler and Jackson Robinson, who've been out, had a modified practice. No word if they'll play against Oklahoma. People who cover Kentucky think at least Lamont Butler is back for the Auburn game coming up Saturday.
This is Auburn's next to last home game. Associate head coach Steve Pearl joins us as he does each week. Kind of hard to believe we're to the point in the schedule where I can say, Coach, this is your next to last home game coming up tomorrow night.
Yeah, it kind of sneaks up on you every year, only having 4 games left in the regular season. But, that's just kind of the nature of what we do. But it feels like it's been the longest year of my life, but it's also flown by as well. So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, any year you have a baby in is going to feel like the longest year of your life. I've done it twice. You're like, I don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't even know if my baby's been alive 6 months or 6 weeks. But I've lost all track of time.
Yeah, stopped counting a while ago, but she's growing, and Brittany's doing a great job. So I'm very thankful for that.
Is this the most experience you've ever been around? I think Dunaway brought this up last week or the week before. Talking about Oklahoma City, by far the best team, although they blew a 25-point lead in the second half last night against T-Wolves. By far best team in the Western Conference. But I think in years, are they the same? Or
OKC's 24.1 year average age, and Auburn, I think, is 23.5.
Yeah.
So
you guys are
OKC.
Yeah. The roster is within a year of what you got with OKC.
I mean, people want to keep talking about the age of our team. I think we're like the 5th oldest team in the SEC. So, we're not that old. We're 25th in the country in D1 experience. So people want to keep making a big deal of it. We're not that old.
But is that a bad thing? Because I mean, Steven, I remember
that's the landscape of college basketball now. You know,
but you remember when those MAC teams and the non-power
Butler, George Mason,
but they did it with all that experience. And everybody's like, "Damn, they've been together for 3 or 4 years. That's why they're so good when it comes to the tournament time."
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously being able to keep guys like Janai and Chad and Denver and Chaney and Chris Moore and Dylan Carwell, that's the biggest thing that people don't talk about, is the fact that we were able to retain 6 of our core from last year's team, and then we didn't have to bring in 11 new guys like a lot of teams in the country have this year. And just with the age of the transfer portal and unlimited eligibility, that's kind of what everyone's rosters are kind of looking like now, as far as guys being older. But yeah, this is definitely the first time that we've ever had 10 seniors on a roster. That's for sure. And yeah, I mean, it's why we scheduled the way we scheduled this year. It's why we had the number 1 net strength of schedule in the country, because we felt like, to your point, the only team that would be able to handle this type of grind, in addition to playing in probably the greatest conference in the history of college basketball, would be a team with this many seniors and this many guys that have played, for this long. So, yeah, it definitely helps, but at the same time, you're not able to go as hard in practice because you got some older bodies out there too. So, but no, it's been good, and the guys have handled it well thus far. Our biggest thing, and I know it gets repetitive and say the same thing every week on here, but one game at a time and just trying to get better each and every week.
For the record, we were talking about the age as a positive, not a negative. Only you bring up age when you're talking about me in a negative way on the show. So
that's true. That's true.
Yeah, we were talking in a positive way, the experience, not a negative way. But I've heard
we are the 5th most experienced show in the SEC.
Yeah, I have heard.
There we go.
I've heard people try to play it as a negative, and I don't understand that. It is really what you should be striving for, is to have experienced, talented people back. You got Chris Beard's Ole Miss coming into town tomorrow night. When you think of Chris Beard and his style of play from Texas Tech to his brief time at Texas, now at Ole Miss, you throw in his tape, what's the first thing that pops for Chris Beard?
In this team specifically, there's 6 guys that are averaging it's like 9.8 to like 14 or 15 a game. You have 6 guys that could go off on any given night. So offensively, it makes them really dangerous, because you have to know the whole scouting report, because you can't really key on 2 or 3 different guys. You have to key on all 6 of them. And, our guys have to understand what each of them do and what their tendencies are. So offensively, that's what makes them unique, is they have a lot of depth, and they have like 7 1,000-point scorers on their roster or something crazy like that. Like, that's absurd. You're not going to see that a ton in college basketball. They lead the nation in turnover percentage offensively. So they're going to get a shot up before they turn the ball over, which for us, obviously we like to create some offense from our defense. That's just not going to happen in this game. So we have to do a great job of understanding their personnel, be great one-on-one defenders. But as you've alluded to with Coach Beard, like, his whole thing has been his defense. And that's one of the things that, makes them so unique, is their ability to turn teams over, their ability to block shots, create steals. But in addition to that, they do such a good job of of turning offense in from their defense. So they'll turn you over. And we've told our guys, like, if we turn the ball over, or we play off 1 foot and bodies are on the floor, it's going to be points on the other end. So we have to value possessions. We can't let them speed us up. And, we've seen what they're capable of. They're the only other team besides us to go into Alabama and get that win. That's such a hard place to go get a win. And they were able to do it. And that just speaks to how good they are. And I honestly think that they may be better away from home than they are at home this year, just looking at some of the games they've won. They went to Louisville, a team that's in the top 20 now, and beat them by 23 points. They won at Alabama. They won at Arkansas, a team that's, playing really good basketball right now. So, they've had some really good road wins. And, obviously they've dropped their last 2, but they're obviously going to be hungry to come in here and get that back and get a big win.
So it's interesting, something you brought up there, and I'm curious if you're seeing the same analytics. You mentioned Ole Miss being better on the road. Nate Oats was on with us a couple weeks back. We asked him about Alabama being better on the road, and he said their numbers showed that they were better on the road. Taylor Corn, our social media director, Taylor, she was telling us there are some numbers that show you guys are better on the road. Are you seeing that, and why do you think that might be for those teams?
it's really hard. I think it's just more of the makeup of your team and their personalities. I think I think we shoot 30% from three at home and 40% on the road. So as a coach, we don't do anything different. On the road versus at home. We try and keep a very consistent schedule in what we do. But, I think with the DNA and the makeup of our team, I think some of our guys just like playing that role on the road and obviously love hostile environments. And, I think that's something that they've kind of thrived off all year. And part of it, too, is like, if you look at our non-conference schedule, we played, I want to say 6 home games of our first 13 games. So we played a lot of games away from Neville Arena. So we didn't obviously spend a lot of time getting comfortable in game settings against great teams. Like all of our good games in the non-conference at Houston, Iowa State, North Carolina, Memphis, and Maui, Ohio State and Atlanta, Purdue, and Birmingham. So we didn't play many high-level teams at home in the non-conference, which may be the reason why we're not playing as well at home right now. But obviously, we got to figure it out because we have a really good Ole Miss team who's like a 5 seed in the NCAA tournament, and then you obviously later in the year you have Alabama coming in here, who's obviously one of the best teams in the country.
Well, that Ole Miss team you guys beat by double digits on the road earlier this year, and you hit 14 threes. Is that a high for you guys this year, the 14 threes? And when you're 14 of 28, is it something you're seeing with their perimeter defense, or were you guys just hot that day?
I think that's probably the second highest we've had this year. We've had a couple 13 3-point games. We made 16 in the first game against Vermont. Part of it is just how they guard. They do a really good job of sending bodies on post touches and on penetration. And our guys just did a really good job of playing inside-out basketball and being patient with the ball and getting it out to our shooters. And, obviously our shooters knocked down shots, and our guards did a great job of making extra passes as Ole Miss was closing out to them to find the open guy. So a lot of it had to do with how they guard. I would anticipate they're going to switch up a lot of what they did in the first game to try and limit our 3 balls, because it was obviously such a big reason why we were able to beat them on the road in such a hostile environment. So we're going to anticipate that they're going to switch things up a little bit. But our guys obviously, shot the ball at a really high rate in that game.
Offensively, the Arkansas win and the Georgia win, it just didn't seem as smooth for you guys as it has at other times this year, like in Tuscaloosa. Was part of that just the desperation of the other two teams? And how did the guys fight through that? How did you like the way they responded to having to sort of grind out, still some impressive wins, but sort of having to grind in those games?
Yeah, I think it was great game planning on their part. Obviously, they didn't want it to turn into a track meet because I don't think they could have hung with us if they allowed it to do so. So Arkansas has gotten so much better defensively throughout the year. They're one of the best defensive teams in our conference. They have elite athletes that have good length and good size and good quickness, and they were able to bother us with their ball pressure. And they just tried to muck the game up a little bit and slow things down, try and chew clock, limit the possessions, which is something that obviously they need to do on the road, to try and get that win. And we're down 1 with, I want to say 2 minutes left in the game, and then we go on a 10-2 run. So our guys did a great job of not panicking and just hanging in there. And, I want to say, since Lance has said, do you guys want to play? Do you guys like having closer games? I want to say since then we've had a million close games. So I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. So, we've obviously shown ways to obviously hang in there in those situations. And we were able to kind of pull through at the end. That was one of our, like you said, Jim, that was one of our worst offensive performances, but it was our second best defensive efficiency performance of the year. So we did a great job guarding. Georgia, they had a week off, and one of the things that you do on a week off is you usually throw in some stuff that they're not expecting. They played zone for the first time in a really long time. We were not expecting that. So we hadn't practiced anything of our 3-2 zone offense. So through the first half, as a coaching staff, you just got to survive that first 20 minutes. And then so you can go into halftime, and then you can pull up some clips and go through the offensive sets of the 3-2 zone. And, in the second half, I want to say against the zone, we were 1.45 points per possession offensively. And we finished at 1.21 for the game, which, is one of our third best of the year based on the possessions that we had. So they did a really good job of their game planning to try and obviously slow us down. we didn't do a very good job of guarding in the second half. But, I think, like you said, teams are desperate right now. Those are two teams that are on the bubble, and a win against Auburn locks them into the tournament. So, every game at this point for our opponents, it's either going to help get them, solidify them in the tournament, or it's going to move them a seed line. If Ole Miss is able to beat us tomorrow, that moves them from a 6 or a 5 seed to a 4 or a 5 seed. So every game's got a ton of importance based on this game. So obviously we're going to get every team's best shot.
All right, he is Stephen Pearl, the associate head coach of the Auburn Tigers. They play Ole Miss tomorrow night down at Neville Arena. Your next to last chance to see a home game there on the Plains. Coach, thank you very much for the time. Good luck tomorrow night.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, buddy. Take care. That is Stephen Pearl with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline.
Yeah, and the show today being brought to you by a couple of great sponsors. One of them, our friends at ImageCraft. Brownie, tell us about ImageCraft. If you're on the selection committee, my goodness, I imagine you have to print a bunch of stuff.
That's all right, guys. Give me all the guys are considering for the 3 seeds, and they just hand them all the papers.
Here's a stack of 12.
Wow, this is the SEC teams. Yes, Coach.
12,
that's who we're looking at. ImageCraft. ImageCraft.net is the website where you can see more. They want you to print more but spend less. They specialize in low-cost printer and copier supplies. Carry all the major brands: HP, Brother, Canon, Dell, Lexmark, Konica Minolta, Kyocera, Ricoh, Sharp, and Xerox. They are your go-to for ink and toner supplies. In fact, they will have same-day delivery for free, all in-stock items in the Birmingham metro, and they ship free outside the area as well. They are right there on the Pinnacle Shopping Center area on Gadsden Highway in Trussville, so you can go in the store, mention code TNR for 10% off, or just shop online with code TNR10 at imagecraft.net to get 10% off. Print more, spend less with ImageCraft. Start at imagecraft.net.
And the show being brought to you by our friends at Hemphill. They bring you the lock every day. Alabama hosting Mississippi State tonight. Battle of 2 top 25 teams. What's the point spread there, Brownie? And then tell us about Hemphill.
I actually have that game up and available tonight. The side, 8 sides, college basketball. Jump on board. Free play up right now in the Big 12. Lance'sLock.com. Always brought to you by our friends at Hemphill Services. 205-229-2090. Hard to stop a train whether you experience any plumbing, heating, or cooling issues in your home or business. Call Adam, Chad, Andrew, the guys there. Tell them the next round sent you. 205-229-2090.
So, Jim, when I'm looking for SEC lines at mybookie.ag, I go ahead and log in, hit refresh, and then I just scroll all the way to the bottom for the late tips because I don't know if you've noticed tonight, but all the SEC games are 8 o'clock. It's kind of weird.
Well, I mean, not Florida, Georgia at 6, but the other two are at 8 o'clock. Yes.
Alabama's an 8.5-point favorite over Mississippi State. As I remember, it was State favored in that game in Starkville. Did they go off as the favorite, or it was really tight, wasn't it?
Alabama was favored.
Skinny favorite, though, right?
Oh.
So 8.5 back in Coleman Coliseum. Jim,
I
think Mississippi State covered. They lost by 4.
They lost by 4.
I think they were getting 4.5.
Oh, really?
Oh, was it that big?
Yeah.
Wow. There was one game where it was.
I think they were getting 4.5.
Where it was Alabama started as a favorite and it ended up being 1.5. I thought it was that game, but maybe it was something else.
Anyway, Bama's a 8.5-point favorite. Total of 171. 8.5-point favorite. Total of 171 tonight in Tuscaloosa. It's a big number in SEC play. Yeah,
8.5 for a team that had Josh Hubbard scored 38 on you last time. Here's Nate Oats. Nate, Josh Hubbard is open. Cover him.
I would hope that there's a sense of urgency to not give Hubbard another career high. Can we make better adjustments than them? Are our guys smart enough to make the personnel adjustments and still not let somebody else get off? You can't swing the pendulum so far that make sure, you can always make sure somebody doesn't score. I mean, shoot. Steph Curry, somebody played a triangle and 2 and put 2 guys on him the whole time when he was in college. He didn't score, but the team got drilled. Like, you can always make sure somebody doesn't score, but you can't swing the pendulum that far. You got to make things tougher on him without making it too easy for the rest of the team and some other guys that are more than capable of scoring.
It's one of Alabama's better wins on the road at Starkville when Hubbard scored 38. That was a pretty impressive win. I remember when it happened. I thought it was going to be a tough game for Bama. It was. I think it was 88-84. You end up winning that basketball game, but Hubbard with 38, tough to cover.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he is a guy that absolutely can take a game over. You go back to that 4-point win. Chris Youngblood had a season-high 23 with the 7 threes. Chris Jans is yet to beat Nate Oats, 0-6 against Alabama.
I don't think most of them have been very close, have they? I'd have to go back and look at the scores.
I think that was maybe the closest.
Yeah, I think the closest was in Starkville.
Yeah, the old broadcaster's jinx there. It's like
the free throws.
Like Chris Jans at the free throw line. Yeah.
Did I let the cat out of the bag, who I might have?
Is that what you're doing?
I didn't know. But, hey, Alabama has given up 80-plus in 8 of their last 10 games. Again, when you've got a guy like Hubbard against a leaky defense like Alabama with the style of play they play, I mean, at any point, it will be fascinating to see the Hubbard-Sears battle with Sears going for 3 consecutive 30-plus point games.
It feels like, and I'm not going to be able to go back and do these one for one. I think Missouri this happened, and I think with Hubbard and State this happened. Feels like for whatever reason, Alabama has faced the guy having a career night more than any team in the SEC this year.
Yeah, or is that an Alabama problem?
No, I don't think it is. I don't think you can say that's just defense.
Well,
I mean,
much like when Alabama was a football school, they always got the best from the opposing quarterback.
There's no doubt about that, yeah.
Yeah.
And I do think part of that is, Stephen Pearl just mentioned with Auburn, every night Alabama plays, with the exception of when they're about to play Florida, Tennessee, and Auburn, you're either getting in the tournament by beating them or improving your seed by beating them. Because Alabama is among the best 2 or 3 teams in America, wherever you want to put them in that pecking order, 2, 3, 4 teams in America. I mean, Alabama is a 1 seed right now. It's not Joe Lunardi that has said that. It is the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee that has said that, right? That Alabama is among the 4 best teams in America right now. So this is obviously an incredibly good team. With that, and when you've just been to the Final Four, it comes with having a target on your back. Like, everybody knows this can be our biggest win of the year if we can get it. So I don't just pin that on defense. I do pin it on some of who Alabama is.
Yeah, absolutely. Tonight, 8 o'clock, Mississippi State, 24th in the country, number 6, Alabama, live post-game reaction on our video platforms at Next Round Live. Little T and I will be in Tuscaloosa. Right now, it's time for the viewing menu. Clay Travis at the top of the hour. Viewing menu right now brought to you by the great folks at Michelson Laser Vision.
Yeah, 205-969-8100. Call that number. Ask for Amy. Tell her the Next Round sent you. She's going to hook you up with a hassle-free consultation. You have 0 to lose to find out if LASIK is right for you. If you've been thinking about it, you wear the glasses or contacts, you're wasting money each and every year. I'm speaking from experience. 205-969-8100 or michelsonlaservision.com.
What was the imaginary mystery box movie last night?
The mystery movie last night was Last Breath with Woody Harrelson.
So the one you thought.
How was it?
It was pretty solid. It was very tense, very claustrophobic feeling the whole way through, and there's absolutely no way that you could ever pay me to do the job that they do in the movie.
Oh, I can't. I mean, I wouldn't want to go down in a submarine.
Yeah.
I mean, they,
just for a joyride.
They walk on the bottom of the ocean floor to repair pipelines.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. Yeah. And you depend on somebody not, setting the anchor on your air hose.
So is it worth the watch?
I would definitely say it's worth the watch.
Okay, so I don't know if you've ever seen the Stanley Kubrick, and I finally watched, and I can't believe it took me 50 years to watch, Barry Lyndon.
I still haven't made it to Barry Lyndon yet.
Yeah, it's so freaking good, man. If you like cinematography, because now when you see something in a movie, you're like, is that green
real?
screen? Is it CGI? Everything there is beautifully shot. It's 3 hours and 8 minutes, I think. Brown would absolutely hate it. Slow paced.
Yeah, I played 18 holes in that time.
I thought the casting of Ryan O'Neal was very interesting, but it's definitely worth the watch in my opinion.
All right, I'll check that one out. Tonight on Peacock, we've got a new documentary on Matthew Perry called Matthew Perry, A Hollywood Tragedy. It tells his story of his rise to fame and interweaves that with the story of his final days, as his assistant allegedly sought ketamine from sources the U.S. attorney claims should have known better. You hear from some of Matthew Perry's collaborators, Hollywood insiders, and law enforcement telling this tragic Hollywood story.
I didn't know it was ketamine.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Is that the
man.
horse tranquilizer?
Yeah, the OK hole. I told you guys that the bartender, local place I used to go 20 years ago, she was like, "It's just awesome. It's like being in your own cartoon." I was like, I don't want to be in my own cartoon.
Does that sound all
don't. And again, Brown, I've always said it. Tequila, right?
Yeah, that's right.
You want to wake up in a bush.
Bottle of tequila get you to where you want to go. Lance has always told you that.
And then also tonight we've got on the Paramount Network at 7 p.m. The Other Guys with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg.
I didn't like it.
Oh, I like this one a lot. I like to rewatch it as well.
Yeah. So that's what Tyler is watching and recommending for you tonight. And, of course, basketball everywhere on every network, including late night. If you want to stay up late tonight, a couple of them. Gonzaga and Santa Clara, That's 10 o'clock on the CBS Sports Network. Probably the best under-the-radar game tonight. New Mexico and San Diego State in San Diego, 10 o'clock on FS1 if you want a little late-night hoops after you watch the Tide play host to rival Mississippi State. Clay coming up in just a second. That was the Michelson Laser Vision viewing menu.
Yeah, 205-969-8100 for more information, michelsonlaservision.com.
Cut number 3, Tyler, if you will. Lance probably closer to Kirby Smart than any of us on the show.
I don't know about that.
You played 18 holes of golf with him.
But we've all been around him, and we've seen Kirby with his hair down a little bit. Has a pretty quick-witted sense of humor at times. Maybe the greatest line Kirby's ever delivered off the cuff. He's at a coaching clinic talking to some coaches, and he puts up 4 people. I think it's Bryce Young. You'll see it in the video, but it includes, I think, Bryce Young. I think Cam Newton's in there. It's 4 quarterbacks. It includes Johnny Manziel, and he starts asking the coaches about what do these 4 guys have in common. By the way, the answer really is they had good games against Kirby Smart's defense. It's not the answer one person yells out. Listen in.
What do these guys have in common? Speak up. Heisman. It's a good answer. That's actually true. They're definitely quarterbacks. That's the most elementary thing. Heisman, quarterbacks, champions. He ain't champion of what? Champion of fireball.
Oh, wow.
Champion of fireball.
There's Heisman, right? They all had great days versus our defenses, okay? They both, all 4 of them went off on us in some way, shape, or form, okay?
Champion of fireball.
Champion of what? Fireball? That's a great line.
It's not amazing that Manziel didn't win one. You know, he was only there 2 years. It was Texas A&M. I'm still blown away Bryce Young did not win a national championship under Nick Saban. Because I don't know how you guys stack him. The most talented quarterback I thought Alabama ever had.
But I also know that he lost his second best or best receiver, however you grade Mechie that year.
Yeah.
In the SEC championship game, and then the other one in the national championship game very early in that game. And I don't pin that on Bryce Young, obviously.
No. In fact, I was texting with Katie, our friend in Indianapolis, who was up there that weekend. Used to work in Birmingham and used to work with her in TV in town. And we were talking about post-Nick Saban and how it was down here 1 year under Kalen DeBoer. And I said, man, if you just go back to that trip in your city in Indianapolis, if Jamison Williams doesn't go down, I wonder not only if they win that game, you don't know if they will, but it was trending in a good place with Bryce Young at quarterback. You wonder what would have happened in 2022. If maybe Saban would still be coaching. Maybe he would have quit in 2021 after a national championship. You don't know how it would have played out. But I do feel like it would have been different.
I'm always hesitant to say if such and such didn't happen, such and such team doesn't win a game. I hate saying that because I hate to take away victories, the hard-earned victories.
That's why I said that.
Georgia earned that victory, whether 100%. Jamison Williams went down or John Mechie went down. But I would say this. Georgia had no answer for Jamison Williams in that SEC championship game, even with Mechie going, it's part of it. And to the point that he got hurt in the national championship game, had no answer for him. And Alabama had ball in hand with a chance. What were they down when they had the ball in hand? I mean, it was either take the lead or force overtime, right?
Are you talking about the pick six?
Yeah, the pick six. I mean, they're down. It's a one-score game at that point when they got the ball in hand. And he's throwing to Jai Hall, who's and all these guys that he hadn't thrown to all year. Yeah. And there's still ball in hand with a chance to extend the game.
It's like he was already with the Panthers.
Yeah. Exactly right.
And remember, he dropped a couple of dimes in the end zone that those guys couldn't catch.
Would you guys, I mean, just pure talent, would he be your most talented quarterback to play at Bama?
I think Tua was still more talented than him.
I think Tua was more talented.
I think if you take injuries away from Tua, he's the best quarterback ever to play at Alabama. And he may still be with the injuries.
Yeah, and the best year was obviously Mac Jones, but
it's that Mac Jones is kind of the Cam Newton argument that you always have when you try to rank him among the best. It was only 1 year.
Yeah,
and with Mac Jones, when you try to rank him among Alabama quarterbacks, it's only the 1 year.
Yeah, I just can't imagine if Bryce Young would have had those receivers that Tua and Mac had.
You're right about that now.
Clay Travis on the other side of this quick break. This is show number 896 of the next round, presented by our friends at Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy.
Follow The Next Round on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Next Round Live.
If renting is putting a dent in your bank account, here's your sign from the universe that it's time to buy a new home. And who better to help you through the ins and outs of home buying than our friends at Mortgage Right. With Mortgage Right, you don't have to worry about becoming a short notice mortgage expert because they do all the heavy lifting for you. They're trusted mortgage professionals, and they'll help you choose the right mortgage option and stand by your side every step of the way. Visit mortgageright.com/TNR to buy before renting runs you dry. That's mortgageright.com/TNR. NMLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey, Lance Taylor from The Next Round to tell you about one of our favorite places for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is Hamburger Heaven since 1982. Hamburger Heaven has been serving Birmingham's best hamburgers, cheeseburgers, French fries, hand-spun milkshakes, and sandwiches made fresh to order. All of their ingredients are fresh and prepared daily. This includes their beef, always fresh, never frozen, hand-pattied each and every day. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, visit any of the 4 locations: Highway 280, Irondale, Gardendale, and Homewood.
Alabama loves champions, and you know what they say, the more, the merrier. The Alabama High School Basketball Finals, presented by Alabama Community College System, February 27th to March 1st on APT.
The World Wide Web is a large place. Find all your favorite people and content in the same spot. NextRoundLive.com is full of wonderful tidbits about the show you know and love. Find our gear, listen to your favorite personalities, follow our socials, and enjoy your trip to NextRoundLive.com.
Want more of the show? Download the app or visit nextroundlive.com for the latest podcast, The Mystery Fifth Hour, our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call, and the entire Double Down Media podcast family. All at nextroundlive.com and on the Next Round app.
Remember the name Way to Wellness if you're battling weight loss in your life. I'm Jim Dunaway from The Next Round. There was a time I was over 216 pounds until Way to Wellness helped me lose 45 pounds, and now for over 2 years, they've helped me keep that weight off. Here's their website, aplanforme.com, aplanforme.com. That's a great name for a website because there's no cookie cutter plan. Everything is designed specifically for you. No contract, no sign-up fees, and your first consultation is free at Way to Wellness.
Do you need some refreshed college wear to represent your team this year? Shop Roback's Game Day collection that includes both Alabama and Auburn. From quarter zips to hoodies, Roback has it all. Get 20% off on us using code TNR20 at roback.com.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com.
It's time to pull the trigger on the Next Round merch that you've been eyeing. We know there's a lot to choose from at nextround.store, so here's a few of our favorite picks. If you want to match LT and Brown, go with the TNR logo hoodie and throw in one of Dunaway's favorite hats. Any of them will do. The Backroom's go-to is the classic logo t-shirt, while my personal favorite is the light blue TNR crew neck. All of these items can be found at nextround.store and are EG approved. Rest assured, your order will be packed with lots of love from us here at the Next Round. Head over to nextround.store to start filling up your cart.
No matter the occasion, the Next Round store has you covered with whatever you need. Head over to nextround.store and start filling your cart up now. When you wear your gear, make sure to let us know by posting on socials, and you might just end up seeing yourself during a commercial break. Go browse now at nextround.store and place your order before the break ends.
When the clock hits 0, go to all Next Round video platforms for instant reactions for the latest Auburn and Alabama basketball games. Follow, like, subscribe, and set those alerts. The madness starts now, so be a part of it at Next Round Live on all social platforms.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, The Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
All right, hour number 2 of the show. Auburn's number 1 in the AP poll still. Mississippi State and Bama in Tuscaloosa tonight. Part of the headlines that are out there. A lot to talk about with Clay Travis, Brownie.
All right, he joins us now, the founder of Outkick, at Clay Travis on social media. You see him on Fox as well. What is up, Clay? How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Man, we're doing fantastic. We appreciate the time as always. Do you feel like the 3 number 1 seeds are locked in? The NCAA tournament. Okay.
3 of them, yes.
Yeah, 3 of
meaning
them.
Duke, Auburn, and, Florida could still fall apart a little bit. I feel like Duke and Auburn are pretty cleanly in. We'll see what happens with Alabama, Florida, Tennessee.
And Houston.
I know Houston is continuing to win too. So I feel like there's basically 4 teams competing for the final 2 spots, if that makes sense.
Hey, it is no argument that SEC basketball this year is much better than SEC football. Do you think this continues for like a 5-year snapshot? I mean, if you were to guess, do you think you have more success in the basketball or football space?
So what I would say is NIL, I think, is more impactful in basketball because 1 or 2 guys can make a team really good, right? I mean, you don't need when you got an 85 scholarship roster, yes, a good quarterback can make you a lot better, but if you have a crap offensive line or you don't have weapons, I heard you guys talking about the Alabama quarterbacks and ranking them and trying to assess based on the wide receiver talent, everything else. I just think it's way easier to get NIL dollars to the right targets in basketball because, again, if you told me, hey, you get to pick 3 guys in college basketball, I think you can win a national championship. I don't think you can pick 3 guys in college football. You can even guarantee yourself a playoff spot, right? Even if they're 3 truly extraordinary guys because of all the other positions. So I do think that if the SEC is going to have more money than most conferences, which I think is likely true, if you spend that money well, it's more impactful in basketball than it can be in football, if that makes sense.
We know how Americans are. We love to build people up and tear them down. Our buddy Connor O'Gara at Saturday Down South says Carson Beck is well on his way to being college football's villain for this upcoming year. And I understand that because he's got the girl, he's got the money, he's got the cars.
He's got a bag. He got a bag, right?
And he's living in South Beach. Is there a chance, though, that, and I know this is blasphemous, could Arch Manning become a villain as well in college football?
Well, I think if you win a lot, you become a villain for everybody other than that program to a large extent. I mean, the only guy I remember winning a lot in college football that didn't become a villain at the quarterback position was actually Tim Tebow, who, even though he tended to beat everybody else's team, was such a genuinely good guy that I think it was hard for a lot of people to hate him. But otherwise, I think if you're on a team and you're successful as a quarterback, you end up developing a decent amount of haters if you stay for multiple years. I would say Carson Beck doesn't feel like a particularly hateable guy because, one, I think Miami's a little bit under the radar, and that might sound crazy, but what I mean by it is, other than Florida State, who is awful, I don't know that anybody really looks at Miami and they're like, man, they're our hated rival. Whereas if you're Georgia, Florida can look at you, Alabama can look at you, Tennessee can look at you, and there's a lot of people out there, Auburn certainly, that Florida, if I didn't mention them, you're looking at and you're saying, hey, you know what, that makes a tremendous difference to how you kind of analyze that. So that's the breakdown that I would give. Better than anything else is I'm not sure anybody really, really hates Miami. So I think the hate for Carson Beck, I mean, did Cam Ward feel to you guys like a hateable guy this year? Not really. No. I think he actually benefits by being at Miami compared to being at Florida or another SEC school.
I just think, though, that Arch Manning, Dunaway, and Clay is one of those guys. I guess I know why his expectations are where they are. He's the Texas quarterback, and his last name is Manning. I almost feel like, Clay, it's going to be impossible for him to reach expectations. I mean, he could have one of the best years we've ever seen, and I think that would only meet people's expectations for this guy, whether warranted or not.
Well, I think one thing that is going to actually help Arch Manning is he's quite a lot different than Eli or Peyton in that he's actually a really, really good athlete. And so, most people, I mean, and
it's true.
I think Peyton and Eli would acknowledge that too. I mean, would you have ever believed, for those of us who are not old enough to have watched Archie Manning play, I mean, Texas basically used him in athletic quarterback situations, right? He was basically like the guy who came in to try to run the ball for first downs, the guy who came in to run, sort of sprint option plays. I don't think anybody would have ever foreseen that with Peyton or Eli. So I guess my point on it is, yes, he's got the last name Manning, but he actually plays very different than Peyton or Eli did. He's a chip off the old block of Archie. And remember, Cooper was the most athletic of the Manning kids. I mean, he was the one maybe the most like Archie, but he was a wide receiver. So I do think that kind of helps him a lot. I also think, look, the bigger story to me is Texas's schedule is really easy again. And if anything, the unbalanced SEC schedules, I think, is going to make people angrier than anything associated with how Arch performs.
By the way, Arch did not get a touch on the 1st and goal from the 1 against Ohio State. I think.
No. Well, that was maybe the worst. That was maybe the worst call. Of the worst play calling of the college football playoff for sure.
Guy that made that bad play calling, Steve Sarkisian. Everybody just licks the guy up and down, and they say for sure he's going to win the national championship. He's 50 years old. I do think he's a much better coach than he once was. But if I gave you the option of Sark to win his first national championship or the combination of Kalen DeBoer, Josh Heupel, Brian Kelly?
I would take probably Sark. Just because, first of all, I so on. I just think it's going to be hard. Again, I'm looking at this immediate year. Be very, very surprised if Texas is not in the playoff. It wouldn't stun me at all if Alabama, Tennessee. So I think in this era where you have to kind of it's most likely to those four, and the most likely to make the playoff. So I would take him in the short term, the most likely to win a top.
Yep, I might have done it.
We've lost Clay there so much. We appreciate
Did
Clay.
I blow you guys' minds?
No, we lost your connectivity.
We really have no earthly idea what you said, actually.
Oh, well, I was just trying to break down the fact that, to me, the fact that Sark is very likely to make the playoff, I put a lot of weight on. It wouldn't stun me if Kalen DeBoer, Brian Kelly, and Josh Heupel aren't in the playoff next year. Just because it's hard to project who exactly is going to have the quarterback that comes into fruition. I know you got two returning quarterbacks at LSU and at Tennessee, and Alabama's got a little bit of uncertainty, but I feel way more confident in Arch being elite than I do at any of the other four of those playoff contending teams.
Yeah, I guess Heupel is my surprise that you don't have that faith in Heupel to win a national championship before Sark does.
I don't know that Nico has proven himself to be a guy that when you're looking at him coming back based on what he did last year, are you saying, hey, I know he's like 5 or 6 in the Heisman Trophy, and he had at times, he showed a lot of flashes, but I just don't know that he has shown enough for me to think, oh, this guy's going to be a national championship quarterback. And I do think I saw enough flashes from Arch to think, hey, when this guy has the reins full time, I think he's really going to be special. And so I'm just looking in the immediate short term that I feel like Sark would be the most likely of those guys to win a title.
Did you fear quicksand as a kid?
Yeah, I did. I think everybody did.
It's crazy. Our buddy Bo brought this up a couple of days ago. We pulled it yesterday. There's no record of anyone ever dying from quicksand. But we were scared to death in the 70s and 80s that if you went to the wrong spot out in the wilderness, you were going to fall in and never get out.
Really good job of whoever the person for quicksand. They were really good at, like in G.I. Joe, somebody was always getting caught in the quicksand or whatever. And I think our generation kind of grew up. There's a bunch of stuff that wasn't actually that dangerous. I think we got convinced was, terrifying.
Killer bees
happen. I mean, if you were killer bees, how about the idea that you were going to get kidnapped? Like, I just totally expected every time I went to the mall that somebody was going to try to kidnap me. I mean, I think America's Most Wanted in that, like, whole era. I don't know that kids today have the same, like, palpable fear of being kidnapped, but I totally expected every time that I went to the mall, like my mom was taking me shopping, like we got at the end of the trip, I was like, man, I was really lucky I didn't get kidnapped today, right?
Did your parents
in your idea and in your head the idea that it was going to happen?
Yeah, did your parents feed that to you? I think I remember my mom saying, hey, if you wander off, you're going to be the next Adam Walsh.
She called the name?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, I think we just all, like, I don't think that and not only at the mall or something, right? Like, I totally expected that somebody was going to be driving around in a van trying to give me candy and kidnap me, right? Like, I think that in the 80s, these were things that you just completely accepted as totally normal dangers that were going to happen to you.
Yeah. He is Clay Travis, founder of Outkick, and you can follow him on social media at Clay Travis. Thank you for the time, Clay. Talk to you again soon.
I appreciate you all. Thanks a lot.
All right, buddy. We'll see you, Clay, with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com.
And World War III, too. Did you guys not think at any time the button was going to be hit?
Living through the Cold War, I just assumed
it was going to happen.
That us and Russia would have World War III. I mean, that was just an assumption as a child of the 80s
I remember
you just lived with.
Feeling a little more comfortable because they were like, they're going to hit New York, D.C., L.A., and I'm like, we live in a pretty good place.
It wasn't when, but if. Or it wasn't if, but when that war was going to start with the United States and Russia.
Then you learned that the refueling arm of the Air Force was based right in Birmingham. Very important to keep Air Force One in the air constantly, the command center in the air constantly.
We would have suffered more. The fallout. Yeah. I mean, we would have been the ones.
No, I mean, they would have attacked Birmingham just to wipe out the refueling arm of the people that would have kept the NATO planes and our strike defense planes in the air constantly.
See, I never knew that, Jim. Did you know that?
Oh, absolutely, I knew that. Yeah.
Well, that is.
Yeah, and then we had the chemical weapons arsenal.
James Sr. made sure you didn't sleep comfortably.
Chemical weapons arsenal was over in Anniston.
Oh, I was aware of that at the Army Depot.
So that would have been an easy target, which would have done great damage to the country to start spreading the chemical weapons with a good southern wind.
Do you guys remember, and it might be still the most watched ever made-for-TV movie, The Day After?
I never saw it, but I remember the story.
Did you watch it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that was horrifying.
And everything that comes out now on Netflix and Hulu and Apple has a
apocalyptic
post-nuclear attack.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you guys know this or not to scare you, but a lot of these weapons were built in the 50s and 60s. How long ago was that now?
It's been 70 years, 75 years.
Now, you may want to trust your government that we've been keeping updated and we've been switching out parts.
Oh, I'm sure.
And everything. I'm sure we're on top of it. But are you trusting what used to be the Soviet Union to be doing the same on theirs? That all the safeguards are updated and the firing systems are updated.
They already had their mulligan, right?
Yeah. No, I'm just saying that.
I mean, they did.
But that was they've got missiles pointed right at us, and at just some point,
but if
it's not going to be a computer glitch that fires off. That was something that was built in 1966 isn't going to accidentally set it off.
My hope is the GPS sucks so bad in 1966 versus today, it doesn't find its target, that it lands somewhere in the Arctic Ocean, kills a polar bear.
Yeah, I don't think they're using GPS. I think it's just aimed and have a certain it's an arch.
Yeah.
It's like shooting a three-pointer.
They're using math.
So a computer glitch actually almost started World War III.
I saw the movie.
We saw the movie War Games, 1981.
War Games, yeah.
Well, the Russian system, their missile defense system, picked up 5 dots, and then the crew working on that ship had a direct line to the Kremlin, and their job was to call in anything that popped up on the radar. And the guy was not trusting of the new systems, so he says, wait, if America was attacking with nukes, they probably would send more than 5 missiles.
Wow, that's
so
good critical
thinking. So they chose
thinking.
not to make the call.
Yeah, good call.
Thank God.
Yeah,
way to go by him.
A little passive, though.
Yeah, why do we not build that guy a statue?
I mean,
at least buy him a round of vodka.
I thought you were going to tell me Gorbachev was taking a dump and couldn't take the call or something.
Do you want an offensive or a defensive mind when you're talking about your director of security or whoever your general is? It's got to make that run.
Depends on where I am. If I'm Israel, I'm going to need both. We're going to need a good offense and a good defense. If I'm the United States, we're probably just going to need a good defense.
Show is brought to you today by our friends at Johnston RV Center, johnstonrvcenter.com.
I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 indicator. That's where you find them online there, Johnston RV Center. If you want to find them in person, go to one of those two sites there in Decatur and Coleman. And you can find payments as low as $127 a month with approved credit right now. And always, RV warranty forever. Make sure you've got a lifetime warranty on anything that is a new or qualifying pre-owned when you use Johnston RV Center. I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur, johnstonrvcenter.com.
And our friends at Slice, they bring you 4 downs every day. Great place for lunch. We're about 40 minutes away from the lunchtime for American workers to start. And Slice has great locations all over Central Alabama.
Yeah, fantastic. Local pizza, local ingredients, from the hot mama to the soul pie. You're going to absolutely love it. To view the entire menu, stop in at one of those 5 locations or online, slicebirmingham.com.
First down.
Chelsea Handler, 50 years old today. Better career.
I would guess older.
Chelsea Handler, yeah. She went from 35 to 80.
Yeah. She aged like milk.
Yeah, she did, man.
No, seriously, I would have easily had her 58 to 60 for sure.
Wow. Yeah, 50 years old today. But if I ask you,
hope Chelsea's not listening today.
Better career, Chelsea Handler or Carson Daly?
Carson Daly? Is this even a debate?
I really have not paid attention.
Who do you think's better career?
I've not paid attention to Chelsea Handler's career enough.
See, I would say Chelsea Handler.
See, I would say Carson Daly. I mean, Carson Daly was the request show, right?
Yeah.
Total Request Live, TRL.
TRL.
In the afternoon, raising American children when they got off the bus.
And then didn't he join the Today Show at one point, I believe?
He had a late-night talk show on Maine NBC for a while.
Yeah, I think I'd go Carson Daly, too.
Has been tremendous with The Voice. I don't know if he owns any of it like Seacrest does. He probably should. He works a lot. I think he still pops up on the Today Show. Has Chelsea always been a stand-up comedian?
Yeah, stand-up comedian, and then, had her show on E, which maybe she still does. I don't know. And then she's done quite a few Netflix specials.
Yeah, but that's where I first saw her, with her show on E.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. I don't dislike her, but Carson Daly for me was like, if I could have a career, at one point I was like, man, Carson Daly's cool as crap. I'd like to be Carson Daly.
Yeah, I think I'd go Carson Daly here.
Yeah.
Second down.
Bo Nix, 25 years old today. What happens first? Hugh Freeze gets Auburn to a playoff, or Nix actually wins a playoff game?
Well, I mean, Hugh will have about a month and a half head start on Bo this upcoming season, next opportunity.
I didn't think Denver's defense was really good this year. I think Bo, played extremely well for a rookie. I just wonder, they're not going to sneak up on anybody this year. You look at that division. Is this the first time we've ever had a division where all 4 head coaches are more than likely Hall of Famers? Because now Pete Carroll with the Raiders, Sean Payton with the Broncos, obviously Andy Reid, and Jim Harbaugh.
So for the NFL, Harbaugh will have to probably do a little bit more to get there. The other 3 are already locks.
I think I'd go Bo Nix in this one, crazy enough. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying that, because I can't believe Bo Nix is a starting quarterback in the NFL. I never saw that in his time at Auburn.
Do you believe Bo wins a playoff game in the next 2 or 3 years?
Yeah. Yeah.
But this gets back to that stat, right, of half the NFL who made the playoffs last year don't make it the next year. It's a 50% turnover. So I would put a big exclamation point next to the Denver Broncos as that team.
Yeah,
they're one of the 50% that's not in the playoffs next year.
Well,
would you agree with me or disagree with me?
I would agree with you, yeah. Yeah.
The other part of this, the other stat is, and it's not really a stat, it's just how many guys come on and have a really good rookie year and they can't back it up in their sophomore year.
Yeah, I think a lot of them.
Yeah, C.J. Stroud, I would say his sophomore year
wasn't nearly as good.
It wasn't nearly as good.
His receivers were banged up.
They were, and he didn't fall off. They still made the playoffs and won a playoff game, by the way.
Yeah, should have won 2.
Yeah, he did not fall off as much as many sophomore guys do. It'll be the challenge for Jaden Daniels. I mean, right now we look at Jaden Daniels, we're like, this guy might be a Hall of Famer. A lot of guys have had a really good first year, and then they can't replicate it in the year or 2 or 3 to follow. So that's what Bo Nix will put up with, but I'm going to bet on his coach and that franchise, and I'm going to say he wins a playoff game before.
I'll still go with Bo Nix. Neither one this year, though.
Yeah, I would lean Bo Nix on this one.
Yeah.
Third down.
Ric Flair, 76 years old today.
Woo! Now, you're going to have to go hard to be better than Ric Flair.
Ric Flair, Rick Pitino.
Rick Pitino.
Ric Flair.
Ric Flair.
Yeah. Ric Flair.
If Pitino is able to get St. John's to a Final Four,
I
though,
might change at that point.
I mean, because then you would have, 4 different programs at Final Fours? And there's so many guys out there that never even got to a Final Four. So many great coaches.
Yeah, Ric Flair is iconic. I don't know that I would say Rick Pitino is iconic.
Okay, but Ric Flair is iconic. I think
Yes.
Rick Pitino is iconic in the sports world, though. A lot more conservative, maybe. I mean, is Ric Flair considered the greatest wrestler of all time? I know we've done this exercise many times.
No, he would not be considered the greatest wrestler of all time. Many would have them on
Greatest showman?
Have him on their Mount Rushmore of wrestlers, but the whole package, the showmanship and all, he's one of the greatest to ever do that.
I'm going to say Ric Flair's popularity is more regional than we imagine it. I don't know. I think you can go to Los Angeles and Seattle and Denver and Chicago and New York and find massive amount of people who don't know who Ric Flair is compared to Rick Pitino.
Well, Ric Flair's probably had sex with 15 women in an Italian restaurant, and it's just not a big deal, right?
Yeah, I'm going to say Rick
Pitino's behind
Pitino
us.
here. Rick Pitino is the national championship winning coach at Kentucky and Louisville, and really good at Providence, Final Four team.
I think you undersold Ric Flair's national popularity there. I think he's far more popular than just a regional guy. Yeah, I think he's worldwide popular.
I mean, was Ric Flair a big part of WWE, or was he more?
I think he was before that.
Yeah, he was before that, right? The regional networks,
but they kept bringing him back as WWE and WWF and all that. They would bring him back because of his appeal. Yeah, Ric Flair is worldwide famous.
Hey, does it get your attention? Ric Flair was third down.
Yeah, I'll go Rick Pitino.
What do you mean?
I mean, it's bigger name, fourth down.
Oh, I mean, if you're going to go bigger than Ric Flair, you're going to have to hustle here.
Fourth down.
George Harrison would have been 82. Ultimately, better career, George Harrison or George Lucas?
Well, here's the problem with George Harrison is he was number 3 of the Beatles. He's not even the most famous from his own
you
group.
You could even argue number 4.
Could be number 4 behind Ringo Starr. Yeah, I mean,
but he's still a Beatle.
He is still a Beatle, but easily McCartney and Lennon are far more famous.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
But I mean, George Lucas is massive. I mean, you think about the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
And what else outside of that? George Lucas.
Indiana Jones.
I would go George Lucas over George Harrison.
I think I would too. I actually think that we probably will have more Star Wars fans in 100 years than Beatles fans. Is that fair?
Easily.
Yeah. I don't love Star Wars, and I like Star Wars better than I do the Beatles.
Yeah, you're already more Star Wars fans than Beatles fans. I don't think that's close.
Yeah, I'll go George Lucas as well.
Yeah, I'm going to go George Lucas.
Because I do feel like Harrison, much like me, was just along for the ride.
I think he's a little more talented than just along for the ride.
Yeah. I don't know.
Right time, right place.
It seems like when he was the singer on a song, they were forcing it in there, right? Like
well, again, he was
Lennon and McCartney, but
I couldn't even tell you what songs he sang.
Google real quick. I think he was the lead singer in a few of their songs. Let's see if there are any. Doesn't seem like it's "Hey Jude."
You know, unfortunately, anytime Paul Simon comes up, you're like, "Oh, Call Me Al is a terrible song." I mean, it's like, Paul Simon. Nobody thinks of him for "Call Me Al," but that's the one you associate him with. And I'm about to do that with George Harrison. When George Harrison comes up, do you know the song I think of?
I got my mind set on you.
And it was the strangest video. You know, had all those animals on the wall singing.
Is that the one you were thinking about?
100%.
Well,
and that was not fair to George Harrison.
No, but that was the only solo effort that I remember from George Harrison.
Yeah, I would agree.
How about this? So he was the primary songwriter?
No, it says the primary songwriters were the partnership of John Lennon and Paul McCartney.
Okay.
But George Harrison wrote 22 songs, including "Here Comes the Sun."
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah. While My Guitar Gently Weeps a good tune, too.
Yeah. Does Here Comes the Sun, does he sing it or no?
He sang on several Beatles songs, including cover versions and songs he wrote, it says. All right, wait a minute. Songs he co-wrote. Songs he sang on. There you go. No.
He sang in a lot of them. Was he the lead singer?
Well, I don't recognize any of those songs.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
George Lucas just took an idea from a book.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
But he did. He didn't write Star Wars, did he?
Well, Star Wars is based off of Dune, kind of. It's a more simplified version of Dune because Dune was considered to be unadaptable for film.
They proved them wrong, huh?
And so
Not the first go, but yeah.
Yeah, the first go definitely didn't. But they simplified basically the Dune story.
George Harrison is essentially Joe Walsh with the Eagles. Like, you had Glenn Frey and Don Henley. Don Henley's one of the best vocalists of all time.
Yeah, but Joe Walsh was a late addition. Wasn't George Harrison there?
But my point is, Joe Walsh sang lead on a lot of those songs, and I'm sure everybody in the Eagles is like, yeah, we've got Don Henley here, but we're going to let Joe sing 3 songs tonight.
I saw somebody has
I can
to
actually
sing
tell
while we
you
pee.
a Joe Walsh song, though.
Huh?
I said I can
No, I
actually
can
name
too,
Joe
but they're
Walsh
not
songs,
good.
though.
Something popped up on one of my feeds, and it's like Win Coffee with Joe Walsh.
Coffee with Joe Walsh? Why would you want to do that?
First of all, he's still alive.
Yeah,
Impressive.
Hey. Well, no, I just saw him at the Sphere.
Oh, Joe Walsh is still playing with him, right? Yeah.
I can't believe he drinks coffee. I would think that he's probably still having morning cocktails.
Yeah, I would venture to say if you won that it was less than a 50-50 chance Joe makes it there.
Yeah.
Then what was the Don Henley take that Scott's head is exploding over? What do you talk about, Scott?
That he's even a good vocalist.
You don't think Don Henley can sing?
What? He
Oh
hates
my
the
God,
Eagles.
the Eagles suck.
Well, I mean,
I don't like the Eagles either, but
Don Henley
Henley's
can
good.
sing. You can't tell me Don Henley can't sing, Scott.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
You got to look past your hate, Scott, sometimes
Terrible.
to be objective.
terrible.
That's 4 Downs today, brought to you by our friends at Slice.
5 locations: Lakeview, Vestavia, Montevallo, Crestline Park. Newest location in Edgewood. Get and see the Majaya brothers, created by the late Jeff. His brothers Jason and Chris continue to celebrate that legacy. For more information, slicebirmingham.com.
Who does Nate Oats want to shoot more threes tonight against Mississippi State? We'll tell you about that. And our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama, they want to make sure that you're ready to go to the game and keep kicking life's butt the rest of your life by staying on top of your health. You can do that by calling that number on your screen, 205-930-0920, 930-0920, Urology Centers, Alabama.com. From prostate health to kidney stones and everything in between, it's your urology health, urological health. It's so important to them. They'll even take care of vasectomies for you, too, when it's that time in life. Urology Centers of Alabama. UrologyCentersAlabama.com.
Take the next round anywhere you go with official Next Round gear. Buy yours today at nextround.store.
Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round to tell you about one of our favorite places for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is Hamburger Heaven since 1982. Hamburger Heaven has been serving Birmingham's best hamburgers, cheeseburgers, French fries, hand-spun milkshakes, and sandwiches made fresh to order. All of their ingredients are fresh and prepared daily. This includes their beef, always fresh, never frozen, hand-pattied each and every day. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, visit any of the 4 locations: Highway 280, Irondale, Gardendale, and Homewood. Hey, let me tell you about our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama. Compassionate and comprehensive urological care with 35 physicians, 17 locations across Alabama. Their patient-centered approach to all of your urological needs. Remember, they've got that new men's health center. It is beautiful, helping men with a wide range of sensitive male issues in a comfortable environment. You can always go online, visit UrologyCentersAlabama.com, schedule an appointment with one of their many urologists today.
Hang out with the Next Round on the go. Whether you're driving to work, running errands, sitting on the beach, or you just need a break from the real world, we can keep you company. Check out the Next Round, Mystery Fifth Hour, and our other shows on your favorite podcast app. We'll meet you there.
Start your day online with our website, nextroundlive.com, for the latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. It's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com.
There's no off-season at covercrimson.com. Sign up now and get daily shows plus behind-the-scenes intel that will keep your Alabama fandom rolling all the way up until kickoff. Follow Cover Crimson on all social platforms and sign up today at covercrimson.com.
As we all know, there's no off season when it comes to college football. If you want to stay in the know with all things Auburn, join us over on thebarnauburn.com and get $25 off your annual subscription. We'll keep you up to date and give you exclusive content all the way to the first Saturday of football season on thebarnauburn.com.
Take TNR on the go with a podcast built for your satisfaction. Miss Hour 1, find it in podcast form. Miss Hour 2, stream it now. Miss Hour 3, download it for later. Miss Hour 4, well, just know it's never coming back. Listen to TNR wherever you find podcasts.
Hey friends, if you're looking to expand your business and inform the Next Round audience about your exciting brand, contact us at sales@nextroundlive.com to be part of the team and advertise your product to hundreds of thousands of potential consumers on our ever-expanding platform. Let the Next Round help take your business to the next level. Get more information by emailing us at sales@nextroundlive.com, and one of our team members will work with you to build a plan to take your business to the next level with the Next Round.
Start your day online with our website, nextroundlive.com, for the latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. It's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com.
Looking for a great place for that boring meeting? Leave the office and go to the Golfus. What about corporate events like board meetings, sales meetings, customer appreciation events? How about the Golfus? Watch parties for football and basketball, parties for birthdays or couple showers. The Golfus is a great place for those. The Golfus has Birmingham's best golf simulators and man caves in Vestavia on Highway 31, opening soon in Trussville and on Highway 280. Bring whatever you want to eat or drink, even bring your own clubs. Get out of the office. Go to the Golfus. Book your spot now at thegolfus.com.
Getting you ready for number 24, Mississippi State, number 6, Alabama tonight in Tuscaloosa, 8 o'clock. If you can't make it to the game, maybe go ahead and fire up that grill. 74 degrees today, sunshine, not a lot of wind. Get a good grill going, and then watch Bama tonight. Great day with our friends at New York Butcher.
Brown, I got a hold of some of that brown rice yesterday.
So good.
I'm
So
telling you,
good.
it's one of the best sides out there. Of course, they don't necessarily have that side there. They've got the ingredients where you can actually make that side, but just get in and say, hey, man, I heard the guys talking about your brown rice, mushroom.
Jim will just write the recipe out for you. That's
Yeah.
what he did for me. Yeah.
And you know what? I've got the recipe. I could actually post it.
Oh, there you go.
But anyway, great fresh meats from the ribs, chicken, incredible steaks, deli sandwiches. Stop in for lunch. Pick some up on your way home for dinner. They've got a great selection of fine wines and desserts. 2 locations, the original Cahaba Heights, Highway 119 in Greystone. Get in and see Jim and the great staff. Tell them the Next Round sent you. Rare quality, well-done service. It's the New York Butcher Shop.
Mark Sears has gone back-to-back 30-plus games, but Nate Oats wants to see Aden Holloway shoot some more threes. Here's the Bama coach.
I think there's open shots that he's passing up that we don't want him to ever pass up. He took 12. He could have got even more. I'm thinking of one right in my head that he should have shot. Yes, we need to get him more threes. We need to get him more open threes. He needs to take more open threes. He doesn't miss hardly any. The more open shots we can get him, the better off our offense is going to be. The more open shots we can get Sears, Youngblood, same deal. It's part of why we put LeBaron in the starting lineup to try to get Sears off the ball a little more, get CY some open shots. When we've got Sears and Holloway in there together, they can both create for each other, and if LeBaron's in there, obviously that would help. But, yeah, we want him to get as many open threes as he can get.
Yeah. I mean, he's taken 18 over the last 2 games. I don't remember him,
I was stunned at
anytime
that.
he gets a look, it seems like he takes it. That is the coach if you're a shooter you want to play for,
I was
though.
about to say the same thing. If I'm a high school junior or senior that's a stud shooter, why would you not want to play for that guy? I have never heard Nate Oats. We've never, to my knowledge, played a cut from Nate Oats where he has said, yeah, I'll tell you what, so-and-so's shooting too much. We've got to dial him back.
I mean, it's
In
green
fact,
light on everybody.
It's the opposite. We've played numerous where he's like, we've passed up too many threes. We've got to shoot more.
Yeah, you think if he's a baseball manager, you think he's just like, hey, you're stealing whenever.
Green light all the time.
Well, Ricky Henderson had it back in the day. So you asked this to, I'd put it down as a topic. You mentioned it to Clay. I want y'all's thought on this. I feel like it's Auburn, Duke, and Florida locked in as 1 seeds. I don't think Florida's going to fall off enough to where they can fall off the 1 line. Alex Condon likely coming back tonight for Florida. I thought it'd be for the Alabama game for sure.
could play at Georgia tonight, 6 o'clock on the SEC Network. It'd be interesting to see if he's hobbled as much as Janai Broome has been in his return, or if he looks close to 100%. Want to see that. But I think it's Auburn, Duke, and Florida, and then the other 1 seed is being decided by Alabama, Tennessee, and Houston. I mean, here comes Houston.
I'm surprised that you said Florida. When you said this, when you started setting this up, I thought you were going to say Auburn, Duke, and Houston.
No.
So you got Florida in there for sure.
I actually have a feeling your top 4 right now in both polls are going to be your number 1 seeds.
And refresh my memory, I've got
Auburn,
3, and
Duke,
then Florida, and Houston.
Yep.
I would be. That's what I. Yeah, Houston seems to be on the
Because
come
I think
up.
Alabama's got another loss in them. I think Tennessee's got a loss in them. I don't know if Houston does. Maybe to end the season in Waco. They've still got Kansas, but that game's in Houston.
Yeah, they play Cincinnati. I mean, they've had the bottom of the conference.
They've had 1 1-point loss to Texas Tech, which they avenged that last night. I think they probably roll, and I think Houston's going to get that 1 seed.
I don't think Houston loses again in the regular season, and the one thing we've learned is that they're not going to change number 1s based on conference tournament, so I don't care what Houston really does in their conference tournament.
I think that would get them to 10 Q1 wins.
Houston?
Yeah.
I will say, though, if Houston was to lose, back to the point you just made, and either Alabama or Tennessee won the SEC championship in Nashville, that could flip around.
Houston's at 7. The Kansas game is in Houston, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Kansas is 20th in the net, so that's a quad 1 win.
At Baylor.
At Baylor, they're 30th, so that's a quad 1 win. And Cincinnati's 44th. Where is that?
That is actually in Houston.
Okay, so that's not going to be a quad 1 for them. So that'd be a quad 2 and 2 quad 1s. That'd get them to 10, Dunaway. I mean, do you think that's enough?
Yeah, that's what I said. 10 quad 1 wins.
No, I'm sorry, get them to 9. My apologies, 9 and 4.
Yeah.
But they could pick up 1. But again, I think the die is cast on the 1 seeds by conference tournament time. Don't you guys agree with that?
Yeah, but
don't you think they go in to that room and they put the 1 seeds up on the board and they don't even pay attention to the conference tournament as it relates to those teams?
Probably not. At least
think history has shown us.
Not much at all. But if you look, everybody, we talk about the strength of schedules when you look at the SEC. Houston, in their last 4 games, they've beaten 3 top 13 teams. They've beaten Arizona, Iowa State, and Texas Tech. So, I mean, it's not only, it's not like Houston is winning in a bad conference right now. They're doing it in the Big 12 with a lot of ranked teams.
And that was why, when Lenardi, we talked about it yesterday, it just didn't make a whole lot of sense that Lenardi dropped Alabama behind Duke, because what was the difference? Alabama beat Kentucky at home. Duke beat Illinois on a neutral site. It just didn't really – it wasn't like Duke beat Auburn or Duke beat Florida or somebody like that, or Alabama lost. I mean, it just really didn't make a whole lot of sense. But also thought Dunaway it was meaningless, because if Alabama wins their games, they'll jump right back over Duke.
That's right. Alabama playing the tough stretch down that includes a 5 seed, a 2 seed, a 1 seed, and a 1 seed in their Final Four starting tonight against Mississippi State. And that gets us to our football spotlight today. Basketball tonight, we'll have it covered for you. More of that coming up. But our McCurry spotlight, Tyler.
The College Football Spotlight.
It is presented by McCurry Van & Car Rental. The hard-to-find rentals are right there at McCurry. You can find them all over North Alabama. They are right there in Athens, Muscle Shoals, Huntsville, 2nd Avenue Northwest on Coleman, Scotland Boulevard at Tuscaloosa. Reserve that rental today, 256-559-1003 or McCurryrentals.com.
Okay, so here is the work for you today. You got 16 teams in the SEC, right? 16 teams in the SEC.
Yeah.
Because of a tie last year, you had 9 teams. I had to carry it to 9 teams that finished in the top half of the league, because there was a big clump of teams that sort of tied for, I think it was 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th in the league. And then 7 teams were in the bottom half of the league. So you'll have to use your imagination here, or Forrester can pull up the standings or whatever. But here are the teams that were in the top half of the SEC last year.
We're going football, right?
This is college football spotlight today. And this is why we will always have turmoil and problems in our conference. Because just finishing in the top half of the SEC doesn't seem like enough for some schools with the history of their programs. But look, these were the top 9 programs. Because of the tie, I go 9. Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, LSU, South Carolina, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, and Missouri. Because of the ties, were in the top half of the league. These were the bottom half of the league last year. Florida, Arkansas, Vandy, Oklahoma, Auburn, Kentucky, and Mississippi State. So if I tell you a dividing line and an equator in the middle, top half of the conference, bottom half of the conference, which one of those bottom half below the equator teams do you think in their mind, in their head, should be a top half of the league team?
Oh.
Florida?
Yep.
Oklahoma?
Yeah, Florida, Oklahoma, and Auburn.
And
for
Auburn.
Sure.
Yeah.
So which three are you moving out? Actually got to move 4 out of the top half to make 8. So you've got, Missouri, obviously I'd move them down.
South Carolina,
I'd move them down. Okay, now here we are. Now we got to move 2 more to move the 3 that we think belong up there.
I disagree because I think Oklahoma, I'd put them in. I'd put Florida in. And then I would move Ole Miss out. But, Auburn's just not going to be in the top half of the conference.
Give me who all's left. I've got to find how many teams out of this group that's left.
Okay, Texas.
They're not moving.
No.
Georgia.
They are not moving.
Tennessee.
I'll come back to them.
Yeah. Okay, Alabama.
They are not moving.
LSU.
Not moving.
They're not moving.
South Carolina.
Yes, they're out.
They're out.
In our head, they're bottom half. Texas A&M.
Yes, they're out.
I'm keeping A&M in.
Based on what?
Based on where they are right now.
An 8-win
based
team?
on where. Well, it's better than the other teams we're talking about.
I know, but historically, Texas A&M has never done anything that should make them believe they're a top half SEC team. Do you agree with that? They haven't.
Yeah.
I don't know how anybody can disagree with that. Historically, you look at Texas A&M and you say, what have you done historically that tells me?
They've never even played for a conference championship.
Not in the SEC. In the Big 12, they only played for one, didn't they?
Well, they won at 98.
I think that's the only one they played for in the Big 12. And then you go back to the Southwest Conference before you had championship games. They won a couple of those.
You could argue A&M out.
Yeah.
I don't think Florida and Oklahoma you can argue out.
No. I agree 100% with you on that, Lance. But if we're going to do this based on history, you tell me why you belong in the top half of the SEC. Texas A&M has no argument to be in the top half of the SEC.
Okay.
You can't just build facilities, fill the stadium up, make it loud, and do goofy cheers with male cheerleaders and belong in the top half of the SEC. That's not the way it works.
But I think some of this you've got to project where we're going and what we're doing.
Yeah, I do think Texas A&M's current state is better than Oklahoma. It's better than Auburn. It's better than Florida.
It is, but I don't have any faith that Texas A&M can take the next step. None whatsoever.
So just for the record, Texas, Georgia, Alabama, LSU is definitely there. And then you were pausing on Tennessee.
Yeah, I want to come back to Tennessee.
We're going to pause.
No, but I want to. With those 4, Florida is definitely in the top half.
Yes, I would agree.
So we're gonna move Florida over for sure.
And I think we're moving Oklahoma for sure, just based on the history of that program.
Based on the history of the program.
And those are the only 6 that are for sures.
Okay,
I would agree with that.
So Tennessee and A&M, you definitely moving South Carolina to the other side.
No doubt.
You definitely moved Missouri to the other side.
Yep, 100%.
Below the equator. What about Ole Miss?
Below the equator.
Below the equator on Ole Miss. You agree with that?
I agree. No, where the programs are right now, currently Ole Miss in a much better spot than some of those programs, though.
Okay, so Vandy will always leave below the equator. You've already moved Oklahoma and Florida up. What about Arkansas? Always below?
Below.
Oh, I agree.
Kentucky definitely below.
Kentucky definitely below. So Auburn
Mississippi State definitely below.
Mississippi State definitely below. Okay.
Auburn is going to be, to me, under UT and A&M. So they're almost on the,
Yeah, UT, A&M, Auburn, and who's the one I'm missing there?
Tennessee? No.
Nope, got them. 6, 7, 13, 16. There it is. So Texas, Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Florida, Oklahoma, always above the equator.
Yep.
South Carolina, Missouri, Ole Miss, Vandy, Arkansas, Kentucky, Mississippi State. So really the cut line, the bubble, if you will, is Tennessee, A&M, and Auburn.
I almost would
on
say
one side, one on the other side.
Well, based on that, Tennessee's
number 7. Yeah, I would
in.
say Tennessee's number 7, and then that 8th spot is Auburn or A&M.
Auburn. Auburn's done more historically than Texas A&M. I don't know how you guys. I don't know how I determine this. Or how y'all determine this. I determine this as look. We've got 125 years of college football history. What have you done in that 125 years that says you should be a top half SEC team? Auburn has done enough to be there. Texas A&M has not. That's pretty simple to me.
Yeah, but if you're going by the 125-year snapshot where Ole Miss is right now and what they did in the 60s, they're in front of Auburn.
That's true, but I happen to grow up in the 80s and 90s where they were a middling program.
Boy, it does seem like if you could just put both of them on this side of the equator, I mean, I feel bad for Ole Miss, but it does seem like everybody else has gotten pretty comfortable. South Carolina, Missouri, not right now, but historically. Vandy, Kentucky, Arkansas, Mississippi State of being below the equator.
Okay, what if you just had to do it for the next 5 years? Because mine would look totally different.
Because Ole Miss would be above the equator?
I would have them above.
Yeah, A&M is going to be in my top 8 too. I feel like Mike Elko's.
I see coach after coach after coach come into Texas A&M with promise, and they never deliver. So.
Well, I didn't. This is the first time I've ever said it, so not that matters. But I didn't believe Jimbo Fisher was going to be the answer.
A lot of people did. He had won a national championship. Didn't work. He had one good year. Kevin Sumlin came in, had an incredible year his first year. Couldn't sustain it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just coach after coach goes into that place, and they cannot sustain any success.
Yeah.
And there's nothing I look at Mike Elko that tells me this guy's the one that's going to do it. What do you see in Mike Elko that tells you that?
No, I mean, he was just able to have really successful years at Duke. Only a couple, but he was just, one of the most respected coordinators in all of football when he was DC at Notre Dame and A&M. And
I would say Mike Elko actually comes in with, and maybe this is good for him, he comes in with the worst resume of the three we just mentioned. Mike Elko's resume is nowhere close to what Jimbo Fisher's was, and I think it's worse than Kevin Sumlin's was.
There is not another conference that you could cut in half like you can the SEC and have this kind of debate where you would fill up half of it and say those are definitely top half all the time.
Well, the Big 12 you might.
I don't know.
I mean, just because the Big 12 is just all over the place.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's no real debate there. It is a scattered, scrambled, covered and smothered.
Yeah, but if you're just trying, if you're just trying to get the top 8.
Top 9 in this situation to go 18 deep.
Yeah, I don't think I don't know where you would start.
That's what I'm saying.
In the Big 12.
There's not a.
I don't even have number one. I can't start at number 1 in the Big 12.
But in the Big 10, there is a bunch. There's a handful of halves. I don't know if you can go 9 deep or 8 deep of halves, but there are a lot of people that are not in that same club.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The historically most accomplished Big 12 team is BYU. Argument?
You're probably right.
I think that answers your question about the Big 12.
Is Colorado in the Big 12 now?
Yeah,
they are, but I would say BYU's got a better. I know Colorado has also won a national championship, but Colorado
more recently than
BYU's got.
But Colorado has spent so many years in the wilderness outside that national championship. Such a bad program.
Actually, outside of this weird year where in the Big 12 where Arizona State won the conference, Iowa State played for it, Utah wasn't good this year. Utah really is the alpha of that conference.
In recent history, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Except it wasn't in this conference. It was in other conferences.
And it's really been almost 20 years.
That's our McCurry Spotlight today, brought to you by the fine folks at McCurry.
McCurryRentals.com. That is McCurryRentals.com.
And our friends at Way to Wellness, your journey to healthy living. Unbelievable opportunity for you to jumpstart your weight loss right now by going to the website of planforme.com, planforme.com, all the way back to our radio days when we made the jump to the next round in the summer of 2021. A number of our viewers and listeners have always hit up Leslie and her board-certified team to improve their health, to jumpstart their weight loss. And you can do that with a free consultation at planforme.com, planforme.com. No contracts, no sign-up fee. They've got meal replacements, protein bars as sort of supplements in between your meals, your healthy choices, and also injection therapy. Everything you need for weight loss and to lower cholesterol and a lot more is there for you at planforme.com. It's Way to Wellness, your journey to healthy living. A lot of stuff happening in the NFL as we're at Combine Week. But first, more rules being discussed. The tush push had an anonymous team put it up for vote, and they'll vote at the end of March. The anonymous team, according to Diana Rossini of The Athletic, is Green Bay. They, for some reason, wanted to make it anonymous, but everyone is reporting it is Green Bay.
Not anonymous at all.
Yeah. In fact, President Mark Murphy has been quoted as saying it's a no-skill play, end quote. It's a no-skill play, end quote.
you could make that argument.
Yeah, but, I mean, find a way to stop it.
Sean McDermott says the optics are bad. He doesn't like it either with the Buffalo Bills. Health is a concern that is being used now. Go back to the Super Bowl, most watched game in NFL history, and Chris Jones getting his neck examined after that. That'll be a clip and video that'll be used, and probably a little sworn testimony for Chris Jones on how dangerous the play is.
Boy, I would hope that we don't knee-jerk because of that one situation.
Well, that's the way rules are normally done, is they're knee-jerk based on a singular situation in a big moment. Your Rams and Saints are the perfect example of that.
And the going back to Jimbo Fisher, Texas A&M LSU, the 7 overtimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm surprised that Sean McDermott, I mean, Buffalo runs a different variation of this all the time with Josh Allen.
Yeah, he's just big enough they don't have to do the tush push.
What people may not remember is this was a rule that went away because they thought it was too hard to officiate, but you used to not be able to push or pull a defender.
And I think it's still illegal to pull a ball carrier. Now you can push. I thought it was illegal to pull still.
We see them now wrap their arms and fall into the end zone with it. So basically, they're just asking, let's go back to what the rules were. I don't like it. I don't think it's entertaining football. I don't like it.
I agree. And if you're on the opposing side, if you're watching your Bucks or your Dolphins or my Rams and they roll it out there, you're not going to stop it.
Yep.
Yeah. And so I hope it gets voted down in March. And it's got to be 2/3 of the vote. Doesn't have to be unanimous. So that's 24 of the 32. Just have to vote for it. Obviously, the Packers are voting to get rid of it. The Eagles are voting to keep it.
Well, they've won one.
So now it's down to 23 out of 30.
They've won one championship with it, and I just hate for the Eagles to be like, oh, you couldn't stop us, and now you're having to ban us.
I don't want to give them that, but I think that's what's going to happen. Enough teams don't run it. Why would they vote to keep it?
I mean, since 22, look at this on the screen right now. Since 2022, including the playoffs, the Eagles have 106 first downs using this. The next closest is Buffalo with 60. Number 3 was 14.
Yeah.
So the way this would work, I mean, you correct me you may not know the answer to this. So let me just say this.
If it's officiating, I do. I was a great official one day.
All right. Do you think it would be officiated this way? Let's use the Bills. Josh Allen, much like the Kansas City game, which most people think he got a first down anyway. He's stacked up in the quarterback sneak. The running back can no longer just hit the line and so the running back's got to stand there and watch.
Yep.
So now I'm taking a man out of the play.
The famous Bush push should have been flagged.
Yeah. But
USC
you see
Notre Dame.
So basically, if I run a quarterback sneak now, my running back is out of the play.
Yeah.
There's really nothing he can do.
Not supposed to push him.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Boy, and just natural instinct. I guess you probably don't line him up. You just empty backfield.
Yeah. I mean, but think of what we see now.
I mean, there's no reason to line him up. You can't use him.
So 3 guys have stacked up the running back, even in college, on the right side for a 6-yard gain. Well, here comes 2 big linemen hitting that pile and starting to push it forward down the field.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the football we all wanted to see.
I don't like that either. And normally the NFL's really good about stopping forward progress.
College is less quick.
Yeah, college lets it go a little bit longer.
I mean, if it doesn't get voted down, I mean, Tebow would have been the best at this, right? I mean, even in his shape now, you might be able to bring him back. I mean, Taysom Hill gets paid millions of dollars to do absolutely nothing. Why not put Tebow back out there, get him in shape? And I mean, I just don't think he could ever be stopped at that.
A tush push specialist there at that point. Couple of other NFL things to talk about. It is Combine Week. Ashton Genty says he will do no on-the-field activities. He'll do interviews and stuff.
That's all I would do if I'm Genty. He's going in the top 10.
He's the top running back no matter what he does.
Don't do anything.
Yeah.
Abdul Carter's coming off. He's got an excuse coming off shoulder surgery. He's not going to do on-the-field activities. Probably wouldn't have anyway. But everyone is talking that this is it for Jalen Milroe. This is his opportunity. And there's a big story written today at Yahoo Sports that if you remember last year, everyone was talking about what a horrible Senior Bowl Michael Penix Jr. and Bo Nix had down in Mobile, that they didn't wow anybody at the Senior Bowl. But yet, through workouts, private workouts, pro days and such, and probably the Combine, Penix Jr. and Bo Nix, and a little bit of that was just being drafted by the right coach, right team, but they believe there's a space for Jalen Milroe to make waves and get momentum back this week. What do you think?
Well, I thought that Milroe was going to be in a situation where he would go to Indianapolis, he would run the 40, he would do the long jump, vertical, 225, and he would blow people away and not necessarily have to throw. I think now he's to the point where I've seen him fall to the fifth quarterback, and the only three that they're saying that are going to go in the first round are Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, and now Jackson Dart. So if you're Jalen Milroe, your hand's kind of been forced. Would it blow me away if he has like an on-day throwing and then with all of the other measurables, somebody falls in love with him? No.
I mean, do we think he's going to be that bad throwing against air, though?
Maybe.
I mean, he's got a good arm. He can throw the deep ball. I mean, that was a lot of times his best throw was the deep ball.
You can always blame it on those receivers you don't work with all the time.
Like, do you? Yeah, exactly. I don't know these guys.
Oh, my God. He zigged. He was supposed to zag.
Who was, I'm going to struggle to remember who this quarterback was, but he threw this one deep ball on a rollout.
Right now it sounds like Anthony Richardson.
No, it was difficult. He threw one deep ball, and everybody went nuts over that deep ball. And ESPN shows it all the time. It was in it, but it was not. It was in his pro day. It was not, and I wish I could remember the quarterback. It was not at the combine. It was in his pro day.
Was it Will Levis?
Huh?
Was it Will Levis?
Last year,
think so.
Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Drake May, none of the three threw at the combines.
I remember Brown because it's on the NFL Network, TV2.
Zach Wilson. That's who it was. Thank you very much, Daniel. It was Zach Wilson.
Yep.
He threw that one deep ball. It was like he was rolling to his right, and he threw a deep ball. And I remember it actually being a little bit behind the receiver. And I'm like, I'm not sure why everybody's going nuts over this throw, but they did. And his draft stock shot up. Yeah, the Jets fell in love with the guy, apparently.
This out of Dallas, which is interesting. What's Jerry Jones' son's name? Steven. Says the Cowboys are looking for a young second-string quarterback to back up Dak Prescott and be the future after Dak, and they may address it in this draft. Obviously not with the 12th overall pick, but maybe second, third, fourth round pick on a quarterback because Cooper Rush, they believe, is going to be too expensive to keep as a backup to Dak.
Which is remarkable.
So they're going to
take a pay cut if you're Cooper.
I mean,
they gave a fourth-round draft pick to pick up Trey Lance. They think he'll be too expensive. They want to go cheap at that position because of what they're paying Dak.
I can't believe that Trey Lance, just based on years, is going to get more money.
I'm with Lance. How does he get money out of this, Trey Lance? That guy's done nothing.
But it's cheaper to go rookie for 4 years than a backup spot,
especially a second-round rookie.
So. Or third round.
Jalen Milroe. I mean, that would
round.
Is that what you're saying? That'd be a perfect spot.
It could be Milroe in the third round to the Dallas Cowboys. Not a bad place to go.
No. I think for Milroe, you want to go to a place where you can sit for a year or two and really learn. Yeah. And I do think somebody's going to have, back to the tush push, somebody's going to have packages for Jalen Milroe. How can you not?
I mean, I think Dak Prescott would be a good guy to learn under in the event you do get to play him. Prescott's been hurt. So you would get some snaps there. You just mentioned Cooper Rush. He's playing because Prescott missed a lot of time.
You know, we had one guy come in, not a traditional receiver, but a return guy, and Cordero Patterson, and then ends up being a really good running back. Like, I really believe Jalen Milroe. Now, the hand size might be a problem, but he just seems like one of those guys, if he learned the position, could be really good.
Yeah, back up to Dak Prescott at Dallas if you're not going to be a starter. Now, if he could start, that's obviously where you want to be.
Well, you're going to play a couple of games with Dak.
Exactly. If you're a backup to Dak at Dallas, that's a good spot for him.
Yeah.
I know he wouldn't pick that.
Travis Kelce wanted to be a quarterback. He ended up being a Hall of Fame tight end.
We learned that yesterday, didn't
Top of the hour here, brought to you by our friends at Champy's, world-famous fried chicken, champy'schicken.com, Highway 119 in Alabaster. If you just want a little comfort food, if you're just having a bad day, you're at work, and you say, man, I want to eat something that's going to make me feel good. How about a destination lunch location? Great Southern food. That's on Highway 119 in Alabaster. It is Champy's world-famous fried chicken, champy'schicken.com. Mississippi Delta recipe tamales. It has been a beat since I've had Mississippi Delta recipe tamales.
I'd eat them up right now.
Could eat them up right now. Southern fried chicken that is brined overnight, cooked to order. My wife swears it's the best chicken she's ever tasted, and my wife and I rarely agree. But I agree with her. Best chicken I've ever tasted. Hand-cut chicken fingers, all the great sides, and so much more. Champy'sChicken.com, Highway 119 in Alabaster.
Call the next round now at 205-734-0923.
Things fall apart. There's even a book about it, but that doesn't mean you have to break the bank to fix them. Ryan Brown here for the Next Round. Our friends at Mortgage Right have a new renovation option that will make repairs and other home improvements easy. If you've recently purchased a home and find yourself short on cash, or you're looking to buy a fixer-upper, Mortgage Right's renovation loan program can help you spruce up your space. Repairs can be made to your roof, plumbing, flooring, and more with the help of top-notch mortgage professionals. So get your fix by visiting mortgageright.com/TNR. And MLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. I mean, where else are the scenic views as good as your view of the game? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
You could win a Cadillac CT5 or your share of $25,000 in free play and cash at Birmingham Racecourse Casino. The more you visit, the more chances you have to win. Play the latest, most exciting games around with fun bonuses and big jackpots. You can be a winner too. Come win your share during the Cadillac CT5 and $25,000 giveaway at Birmingham Racecourse Casino. Drawings April 5th and 6th. Located off I-459, exit 31, Derby Parkway. Must be 21 or older. Must be present to win.
Since you listened to my last message so well and got rid of those cargo shorts and stained t-shirts, it's time to replace them with Rowback. Go to rowback.com and click on the Refresh collection to find all that you need for an EG-approved wardrobe. It includes pieces that will have you ready to hit the golf course after a busy day of meetings or comfy favorites for travel and working from home. Get 20% off using code TNR20. See, I'm saving you some money. If you're looking to expand business and inform the Next Round audience about your exciting brand, contact us. Send an email to sales@nextroundlive.com to be a part of the team and advertise your product to hundreds of thousands of potential customers on our ever-expanding platform. Join our existing partners in the fastest-growing media space, both live and on demand, and reach the most desirable audience for your business. Get information and more by emailing sales@nextroundlive.com, and one of our team members will work with you to take your business to the next level with the Next Round.
Looking for a great place for that boring meeting? Leave the office and go to the Golfus. What about corporate events like board meetings, sales meetings, customer appreciation events? How about the Golfus? Watch parties for football and basketball, parties for birthdays or couple showers. The Golfus is a great place for those. The Golfus has Birmingham's best golf simulators and man caves in Vestavia on Highway 31, opening soon in Trussville and on Highway 280. Bring whatever you want to eat or drink, even bring your own clubs. Get out of the office. Go to the Golfus. Book your spot now at thegolfus.com.
Just because you've quit going to the gym, it doesn't mean that you have to quit gym altogether. Dunaway, that is. With our Next Round podcasts open 24/7, 365, you can access gym anytime you'd like. While you may have done away with your treadmill routine, our version of Dunaway is standing by ready to get you back to your absolute best. Find all that lovely Jimmy D-led content on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and in the podcast section of nextroundlive.com. This message is sponsored by Jimmy Crypto Inc. and Jimmy Crypto for President.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone, the New York Butcher Shop. Rare quality, well-done service.
Hang out with the Next Round on the go. Whether you're driving to work, running errands, sitting on the beach, or you just need a break from the real world, we can keep you company. Check out the Next Round, Mystery Fifth Hour, and our other shows on your favorite podcast app. We'll meet you there.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Basketball happening tonight in Tuscaloosa, 8 o'clock for 24 Mississippi State and number 6 Alabama. You've heard a couple of thoughts on the game from Nate Oats. Stephen Pearl on the show earlier about Auburn being number 1 and getting ready for Ole Miss to visit number 1 Auburn tomorrow night down at Neville Arena. Live post-game on the basketball show and our video platforms after both of those. Football news, Brandon Marcello has 3 coaches that he's putting on the hot seat at CBSSports.com. I'll get to that list, including who he has on the hottest seat in college football, right after I tell you about our friends at Storm Restoration Roofing. That is Greg from Pell City, and he brings you part of the show every day because he wants to be a part of your life. Listen, having a roofing contractor, a guy who can take care of your roof for your life, every home you're in, having Greg ready on standby to give you a free, no-cost roof inspection after these winter storms, anything. It's fantastic. There's his cell number. He'll help you out any way you can, 205-542-3531, 542-3531, or Greg from Pell City on Facebook. Now, that includes that free no-cost roof inspection. He also does storm damage repair, roof replacement, and anything else. And he's got some insider information on changing insurance laws and rules about insuring your older roof. If it's 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, there's some stuff you need to know. Greg's going to educate you on that, too. Call him up, 205-542-3531, or look him up on Facebook, Greg from Pell City. I won't spend any time on Luke Fickell, number 3 on Marcelo's list on hot seat, or Brent Venables at number 2. It's the guy he has at number 1. And it's the one that drew me into the mailbag because they had a picture of him yelling at an SEC official.
Oh, so it's an SEC coach.
Yeah.
Hottest seat
in college football.
In college football, according to Brandon Marcello, and the man also coaches in the Southeastern Conference.
I still think Billy Napier's right there.
He says no on Billy Napier. It is Hugh Freeze of Auburn. And here is what Brandon writes. Auburn is legitimately approaching an inflection point that could define how its athletics department approaches the next decade.
Jeez.
The Iron Bowl is ripe for a power shift for the first time since Nick Saban arrived at Alabama in 2007. And basically he goes on to say, I'll let you go read it at CBSSports.com. He explains how now is the time for Hugh Freeze, and if he doesn't get it done in some forward momentum this year, that the powers that be at Auburn, he believes, would be willing to make a move to go spend big on bringing in somebody else who could fill the void that's left, the vacuum left by Nick Saban.
So Hugh Freeze's buyout is $20 million, and the reason we said yesterday that it is an Auburn-friendly buyout that Hugh Freeze agreed to, by the way, Jimmy Sexton, his agent, agreed to, but I think Hugh had to do that because this was his second chance at the SEC coaching, and you just never knew if you were going to get another opportunity if you're Hugh Freeze. So Auburn kind of held the cards in the buyouts situation there. $20 million is not crazy this day and age, but what makes it Auburn friendly is that it's payable monthly. Now Auburn could choose to probably reduce it and do a one-time payout if they wanted to, but they set it up this way knowing that if we have to fire this guy for whatever reason, we can pay it out monthly, and that's far easier to absorb.
Yep.
Like, I don't know if you guys are the same way, but if you're offered 0% interest on monthly payments, you take the 0% interest monthly payments, don't you?
Yeah, we were just talking about that before the show. Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's
you
what
use
take.
their money, not yours.
That's right. I'm not going to use my money. I'm going to use their money. So, I was just thinking about it the other day. My youngest daughter has to get braces, and they sit you down, and they're like, if you pay by cash, it's this. If you pay by card, it's this, or 0 interest monthly payments. And I'm like, well, if it's truly 0 interest, and you're using your money, not mine, I might consider that one, right? Auburn's got the 0% monthly interest buyout. $20 million, paid monthly. That's easy to swallow. So buyout is not going to be an issue here.
So what has to happen? First of all, some positives. He's back-to-back top 10 recruiting classes, and he's had a good portal here. They've spent a lot of money in the portal, big receiver coming in, big quarterback coming in. So you've got the fact that he's had back-to-back top 10 recruiting classes. That's positive. And here's another big positive for him this year. Probably needs to win the Iron Bowl. Probably needs to beat Kalen DeVore. And where is it this year? It said Jordan-Hare Stadium.
Well, and look, if you just look at pure production coming back on the offensive and defensive sides of the ball, they're a top 20 roster with what they're returning. And the one guy that's not returning is what everybody really wants to fix at quarterback. Now, this is one of the reasons that I was arguing Auburn to the bottom half of the SEC conference, because over the last 4 years, they've only got 10 conference wins. I mean, they're averaging 2.5 conference wins per year over a 4-year or full recruiting cycle period. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's not impressive.
It's not impressive, and 4 consecutive losing years too.
Yeah, and so you got the recruiting talent you've been killing right now, top 10. You've got the Iron Bowl at home. I mean, you always have Georgia and Alabama. They're your rivals, so your schedule is always going to be a certain matter of difficulty. This seems to be a year, and Brandon writes in the story, it doesn't need to be a 6 or 7 win year. It needs to be 8, 9, 10 win year.
Oh, look, they're double-digit favorites in every one of their out-of-conference games except the opener, Baylor. And if they can beat Baylor, they're going to have 4 wins right there because they're going to obviously beat Ball State, South Alabama, and Mercer. But you got to win that Baylor game. I can't overstate how important that game is.
I cannot believe. I mean, I'm with you. It's so important, but I can't believe that Auburn-Baylor is going to be a bellwether game like that for both coaches.
Well, because
the loser in that game is fighting an uphill battle the rest of the year.
Well, you lose that game. Let's just give you Ball State and South Alabama. So you're 2-1 heading to Norman. And here is your gauntlet. You've got at Oklahoma, at A&M, Georgia, Missouri, at Arkansas before you host Kentucky and go to Vanderbilt. So, realistically, I mean, do you guys think there's any way Auburn goes 2-0 against Oklahoma and A&M on the road?
I mean, it would be extremely difficult to do.
I would say it's possible.
Possible. Oklahoma's going to be improved. I don't know if A&M's going to be improved. I do think Oklahoma will be with John Mateer.
But then you would, at best case, they split with Georgia and Missouri. I know those games are at home. But I'm just saying, all of a sudden, if you lose to Baylor, if we give splits on the road between Oklahoma and A&M and home against Georgia and Missouri, you've got 3 losses, and you're just scratching October.
Yeah.
Well, and again, you go back to the Iron Bowl. You mentioned that, and at some point,
and there's the schedule. Yeah. Scotty's pulled it for us.
It's as we talk about with Auburn every year. Rarely do we say, God, Auburn's got an easy schedule, favorable schedule. I don't know why it is, but Auburn, it seems like, ends up with a difficult schedule a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
that one is not easy.
November is the favorable, but you've got to go to Vanderbilt, who, by the way, returns, I think, the most production in the SEC.
But that doesn't scare me. First off, Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know if you saw this.
And I don't beloved tie.
Did you see some of Vanderbilt's wins this year?
Yeah, I did. They beat Alabama. I'm just saying. I look at that schedule. I mean, it's got Georgia and Alabama on it, so that makes it tough. But that's not a tough schedule.
You don't think it's a tough schedule?
No.
At Oklahoma, at Texas A&M, playing host to Georgia.
Yeah.
Playing host to Alabama.
Give me Alabama's schedule.
Oh, here we go.
You don't think Alabama's schedule is tougher?
Yeah, but I mean, Auburn's still going to be underdogs in 5 games.
I mean, are you grading toughness of schedule because of talent on the team? Like you think it? I mean,
well, I mean that's the way you got to kind of do it.
I mean, Alabama's schedule is tougher. I mean, at Florida State.
Auburn's got a tougher game at Baylor than Alabama does at Florida State.
You don't know that.
Jim, did you watch Florida State last year?
We are not playing last year, Brent. We're playing 2025.
Well, I mean, they were.
Do I need to buy you a calendar?
I need to buy you cable, apparently, Jim. No, they were historically bad.
They've got a portal.
Year.
They brought in a team.
Alabama,
a whole new team.
I think it is a slam dunk. The out-of-conference is more difficult because you have Wisconsin and Florida State.
Oh, by the way, they also do play Georgia, too, on the road, not at home.
Yeah, so they get Vandy at home, though. They don't have to go to Nashville again.
They play Tennessee. They're on the road at everybody's darling South Carolina, LSU, Oklahoma's on there.
I'm not saying Alabama's got an easy schedule.
At Auburn.
I never said that.
It's tougher than Auburn's.
Yeah.
So what does Hugh have to do to make the fan base happy? I mean, you got to start with a winning year.
Yeah, when you talk hot seat, I mean, let's say what does he have to do to get fired?
I mean, if they go 5-7 again, look, and I like Hugh a lot.
That's a given.
Yeah, I mean, he would have to be out at that point.
Well, I mean, I was about to bring up the Iron Bowl before he got on the schedule thing. I mean, you have not won that game since 2019. I mean, those start to stack up and get frustrating to fans.
I think he's got to do what Billy Napier, who was on this hot seat last year, did, and that is to go 4-4 in conference and 8-5 overall. I think 8 wins is that number. Now, what you don't want to do is get blown out against Georgia, Alabama, and pick your other 2.
Yeah, Brandon seems to think another 6 or 7 win season would not be good for you. He thinks 8 is the number.
Yeah, look, and I mean, I think it's tough to be patient in today's college football when you see guys in year 1 and year 2 make, big leaps and the amount of money these guys are getting paid. But if you're talking about what at this point now, it'd be 3 full years and you don't have a winning season?
Yeah, just do you think at some point somebody has ridden in on a yellow horse or with a yellow label on it and said, hey, it's got to be 8. We need 8 wins this year. Is there somebody's had a conversation with him? Does he know there's has somebody said there's a number?
Hugh's been in football long enough to know you can't lose. What would that now be? The 6th consecutive game to Alabama? 20, 21, 22, 23, 24.
He can't be responsible
25.
for the ones he didn't coach in, no?
But it's still the 6th consecutive, and he's coached in. That will be 3 consecutive for him.
Yeah.
He'll have half of them. I mean, he's smart enough to know you can't do that. He's smart enough to know you can't lose to Vanderbilt. Again, Vanderbilt beat you in your stadium. To Lance's point, if you go lose that game in Nashville, back-to-back losses to Vanderbilt, that's probably enough to get you fired by itself. So he's smart enough to know that. I mean, I'm just making a list of things that Hugh Freeze would be smart enough to know you can't do, Jim. He's smart enough to know you can't win 7 games this year and be 100% safe. I mean, I think he's got to know last year, rather than go to the portal and get a Jackson Arnold-type quarterback, I stuck with Peyton Thorne, and it did not work. So now I went and got Jackson Arnold, and if he doesn't work, I've now told my boosters I can't evaluate the guy I had, and I can't evaluate the guy in the portal. So if you're a booster, what do you do with that? Like, okay, you evaluated the quarterback situation and said, I think Peyton can do it for us. He didn't. So then you go to the portal and you miss on Jackson Arnold. So how what am I supposed to do there?
That's when it becomes a big problem. You know, the only thing better than an 11-0 Iron Bowl, Auburn 6-5, Alabama 8-3. I mean, just imagine the pressure. Because then if Hugh was to drop that again, they dropped to 6-6. If Kalen DeBoer was to lose 4 games in back-to-back seasons, and with these schedules, I mean, you can kind of see it.
Truthfully, 11-0 would be a lot more fun.
Well, I agree.
8-3, 6-5.
That's what I'm saying. The only
it's a much better game.
Yeah, the next best thing is what I should say to 11-0.
Go read all of Brandon Marcello's new mailbag. He's cranked up a mailbag now at cbssports.com. I always love mailbag articles or shows or things like that.
Marcello did this, though. He told us last year he was going on and setting up his work because he told us last year that year 3 was going to be the big year for Auburn, knowing that they would disappoint a little bit, and then he would be able to come back and roll this piece out.
Yeah, called a shot, didn't he?
Well, he did say they were aiming at year 3 in NIL, and you look at what Auburn did in the NIL, and went and got 2 quarterbacks out of the portal. They didn't just get 1, they got 2 out of the portal, and some of who was it? Did we have somebody the other day that said Jackson Arnold was the best portal quarterback move of anybody in college football? Did we see that the other day?
I have not seen that.
CBSSports.com, Tom Fornelli.
He said Jackson Arnold was the best.
Yeah.
Because I thought most said Carson Beck, John Mateer. Like, I haven't seen Jackson Arnold.
He mentioned Beck and Mateer, but he thinks Jackson Arnold was the best fit out of the portal. More football right after, and a couple other unique things after LT tells us about our friends at Michelson Laser Vision.
205-969-8100, the number that I called more than 2 decades ago. I had the 2200 vision. I was legally blind without the aid of contacts. After the procedure, which only took 12 minutes for both eyes, 2015 better than 2020. Dr. Mark Michelson, the first to perform the LASIK procedure in the state of Alabama way back in 1995. Dr. Michelson, Dr. Jen Michelson, best in the business. Call 205-969-8100. Ask for Amy. Tell her the next round sent you. She's going to hook you up with a hassle-free consultation, 0 to lose, to find out if LASIK is right for you. For more information, michelsonlaservision.com.
By the way, on talking scheduling, Bill Conley, who does all the metrics and all that for ESPN.com, says, I give the SEC a lot of grief about a lot of things, but even with their 8-game conference schedule, looking back the way the metrics played out last season, the SEC played 5 of the toughest 6 schedules in college football, and they played 12 of the toughest 21 schedules in college football, even with other conferences had 9-game schedules. Truthfully, that 9th game probably hurts some other conferences like the Big Ten and the ACC because you're playing another bottom half team in your league instead of playing a good out-of-conference game.
Well, yeah, I don't know that Alabama with 9 conference games would have scheduled Florida State and Wisconsin when they did. Now, knowing what the college football playoff is now, you might judge that differently. But when Bama scheduled these 2 games, you never envisioned that Wisconsin and Florida State would be such middle-of-the-road or bad programs.
Yeah.
I mean, those programs are generally pretty good programs.
Yeah, to your point, either one of those losses would be a disaster.
Oh,
this
yeah.
year.
Yeah, but when you schedule that, and I don't know how long ago they scheduled these games, but the way college football schedules are done, it was probably 6 to 8 years ago. Florida State and Wisconsin, I mean, those are good football programs.
Yeah. Consistently good.
Normally, yeah.
And you've got Georgia on the schedule, you got Oklahoma on the schedule.
Yeah, you didn't
got
know
Auburn
that
on
when you scheduled them, yeah.
Crazy, yeah. Pretty interesting there. Speaking of scheduling, Danny White couldn't have the final word on the Nebraska-Tennessee consolation. So Nebraska Athletic Director Troy Dannon has spoke. He said, listen, we reached out to Tennessee to push it back, the series with Tennessee, because we've got major stadium renovations going on in Lincoln. And we're not going to be full capacity in 2026 and 2027. So we wanted to push the games back, the home and home with Tennessee. And here's the line. Much like we did for Tennessee in 2012.
Oh, wow.
This Nebraska-Tennessee series was signed on in 2006. And it was supposed to happen in 2016 and 2017. But Tennessee approached Nebraska in 2012 and said, hey, can we push back that series? So being good gentlemen, the Nebraska folks said, sure. And they pushed it back to a decade, to 26 and 27. And so Nebraska now, with renovations going on, not going to be anywhere near full capacity for 2 years in Lincoln. They said, hey, we need more home games. So we need to add a home game in 26. We need to add 2 home games in 2027. So let's push this back again like we did for you.
I get it, but boy, if I'm a Nebraska fan, I know it's limited seating, but if I've got one of those seats where you would think that you maybe jack it up and it's a little bit more of a premium ticket, we're now trading our Tennessee home game for either Bowling Green or Miami of Ohio.
Yeah. So it's 26 and 27, right? Yeah. These are the years that – do you know who Tennessee's got at a conference in those 2 years right now? And this, by the way, this is bad news for Tennessee season ticket holders because college football schedules, as you well know, are put together in the most archaic way possible. We do it 8 years in advance for some reason. I don't know why we got it.
So to your point, they're not going to be able to find a good opponent.
Everybody's taken.
Yeah.
Guys, they've got Furman in 2026, not Todd, the school. Furman in 2026, and that's it. They got nothing else scheduled except for Furman 2 years from now. And the same is true in 2027 where they have Western Michigan, the Fighting Lance Taylors of Western Michigan. That's it. That's all they've got. So if you're a Tennessee season ticket holder, your schedule is going to be awful those 2 years.
Unless we go to 9 conference games
and the Big Ten Challenge. That would be the saving grace for Tennessee season ticket holders.
Danny White says the $1 million fine, $500,000 for each year, is not enough. It needs to be stiffer, but that's the contract that was agreed to. He inherited this contract. So Nebraska will pay $1 million. And, you know, Danny White wasn't around for any of this, the push, you know, the signing of the contract, the pushback the other time. He's saying, man, you shouldn't be able to do this at the 11th hour.
Well,
because they're going to left in. By the way, Tennessee in 2021 canceled a game with Army to schedule Akron in 2022. They said no to the military Army 2021 to play Akron in 2022.
Was that the year after Oklahoma got really scared?
I can't remember, but there was 1 year. I remember I watched it on ESPN Plus.
Yeah.
Army, Oklahoma.
Yeah, it was a pay-per-view game.
Yeah.
Tennessee currently has one home. They've got games through 2030, okay? They've got one home game against a Power 5 team on their schedule. That is it.
Notre Dame?
Washington. They play a home and home with Washington in 29 and 30. It's at home in 29 and Seattle in 30. Other than that, they don't have a single Power 5 game at home because they play Syracuse and Atlanta this year. The rest of their non-conference is East Tennessee State, UAB, and New Mexico State. Yuck. And then they play West Virginia and Charlotte in 2028. So they don't have they've got one home game against a Power 5 non-conference team for the rest of eternity right now. That's all they got.
By rule, they've got to go out and try to find one.
Yeah, I don't think they can. I don't know who you would find in 2 years. Yeah. Unless they can get in one of those made-for-TV games, which Tennessee's good enough that Chick-fil-A might consider. I mean, they're already doing it this year with Syracuse. So I guess you bring them back the next year.
18, they lost to Oklahoma in overtime. 19, they lost to Michigan in overtime. And maybe it was those two. Yeah. And who was the coach then for Tennessee? Oh, I guess it was Pruitt.
Ooh.
You think Pruitt was like, no, thank you. I can't take an Army loss.
So just the other side of the coin, we gave you Tennessee's side of it when it was announced. There's Nebraska's side of that scheduling thing going on. By the way, Nebraska is going to change. They're going to real grass, right, for the first time since the 60s, I believe. And they're going to go colored end zone with red colored end zone. This was a big deal in Lincoln, apparently. And black lettering. The word Nebraska in black lettering.
Are they upset with it? You say it's a big deal.
No, they're just talking about the AD said we don't emphasize red enough in our stadium. So it's a power color. We're going to start doing that. He's talking about lighting the outside of the stadium red 24. I mean,
I would have always
365
thought,
days at night.
Just trying to visualize, not that they get to the end zone a lot, but I've always thought those end zones are red.
Yeah.
But I guess white lettering maybe in the past, and now they're going to black.
Maybe. I don't know if it was red or not. I can't remember what the end zone looks like, but they were making a big deal about red end zone.
Well, they've got
black
that
lettering,
cursive Huskers thing they use. I've always thought that was in the end zone at some point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That it just says Huskers in cursive.
It says they're going to be aggressive with the way the field's going to look. It's going to look powerful.
All right.
It's going to be huge, according to Troy Dannon, the athletic director.
I'm looking at it right now. So the end zone was green. And
block letters?
It had block letters in red.
Huskers, is that what it says? Yeah.
So red end zone. Isn't that what Alabama used to be? It was green end zone with just block letters, and then
maybe
when Nick got there, they went red
end zone. Maybe.
I kind of still want to go to a game in Nebraska. I don't know why.
Friend of the show, Matt Rule. I'm sure we can do our show from there.
Well, we either need to go this year or in 2028. We don't want to be there during construction in 26 and 27.
Right. I want the full experience.
Yeah, I don't want to be there with limited capacity to go watch Miami of Ohio, Akron, or Northern Iowa play. All right, when we come back, a potpourri. I got 4 things you've got to hear before trash. That's coming up on the other side. The show being brought to you by great folks like our friends at Odie's.
Odie's Tavern tomorrow night. We'll be out there for a little Odie's team trivia. You can get out there today for lunch or dinner. Enjoy some incredible food. Rodney Davis has been cooking up for the last 35-plus years, from the award-winning wings, delicious burgers, my personal favorite, that Diablo sandwich, ice-cold beer buckets, full of the Bud Light, those huge Odie's Famous Cup cocktails. Stop into either location, the original in Crestline, newest location in Edgewood, Birmingham Institution is Odie's Tavern.
And our friends at New Life Art. That's where you find the works of Daniel A. Moore. He's got the tribute to the Philadelphia Eagles, Alabama stars, a little Roll Eagles Roll. To celebrate the Super Bowl champions, you get the Daniel A. Moore prints from Jalen Hurts, Landon Dickerson, Devontae Smith, all right there at DanielMooreArt.com. DanielMooreArt.com. Celebrate Jalen, Devontae, and Landon's accomplishments as part of the Eagles. And remember their Crimson Tide days like you remember the legend Nick Saban, with a tribute to Coach Saban there. It's all right there at DanielMooreArt.com. DanielMooreArt.com.
Everything Next Round is on demand now in the podcast section at NextRoundLive.com.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. I mean, where else are the scenic views as good as your view of the game? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing.
Looking for a great place for that boring meeting? Leave the office and go to the Golfus. What about corporate events like board meetings, sales meetings, customer appreciation events? How about the Golfus? Watch parties for football and basketball, parties for birthdays or couple showers. The Golfus is a great place for those. The Golfus has Birmingham's best golf simulators and man caves in Vestavia on Highway 31, opening soon in Trussville and on Highway 280. Bring whatever you want to eat or drink, even bring your own clubs. Get out of the office. Go to the Golfus. Book your spot now at thegolfus.com.
This hour of the Next Round is presented by the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, now featuring 7 days of giveaways with your chance to win a share of up to $125,000. The more you visit the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, the more chances you have to win.
Hey, there's nothing worse than waking up to a plumbing problem. Don't get caught in a flooded house. Call the guys at Hemp Hill Services. Adam, Chad, and the team at Hemp Hill are the only ones I trust to fix it and fix it right the first time. Hemp Hill Services does it right and always at a fair price. For all of your plumbing, cooling, and heating needs, trust the name that Birmingham has trusted since 1954. That is Hemp Hill Services. Call now, 205-229-2090. That's 205-229-2090.
By now, you guys know how I feel about my fashion. However, did you know that I care about your fashion choices? Cargo shorts are out, flip-flops are only appropriate on the boat, And please throw away that stained t-shirt from college. You may be thinking, EG, that's all I own. What do I do? Here's what you do. Go to nextround.store and fill your cart with a wardrobe that is approved by me. Stock up on logo t-shirts, hoodies for football season, and hats for every day of the week. Trust me on this one and head over to nextround.store to get stocked up for this season.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop. Rare quality, well-done service. Start your day online with our website, nextroundlive.com. The latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. It's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com. That's nextroundlive.com.
Think about the best summer nights of your life. How many of those were in a great t-shirt? Visit nextround.store to get the perfect t-shirt for the next perfect Southern night. Nextround.store. The memories are waiting.
As we all know, there's no off-season when it comes to college football. If you want to stay in the know with all things Alabama, join us over on covercrimson.com and get $25 off your annual subscription. We'll keep you up to date and give you exclusive content all the way to the first Saturday of football season on covercrimson.com.
Off the beaten path stuff here, brought to you by our friends at Hemphill. Running hot, running cold. That's what the weather is today. It is an air conditioning alert day today. Fire those things up.
You got to go from heat to AC, Lance. That's where it sucks. Some people have had heat on. You got to make the switch over now.
Yesterday was crazy because I forgot what it was in the morning. And so I had the heat. I actually left the fireplace on for the dogs. And when I got home, it was like...
Felt like you'd gone to hell.
Is that not dangerous?
No, I mean, like, have
it's
you ever...
gas logs, right?
Yeah, it's gas logs. It's like laying on the couch all day. Or do you... It's amazing that people worry about that, though. I mean, think about it. If you are at your house, you'd leave it on all day.
Yeah.
But just because you're gone, what's the difference?
Because if something happens and it catches fire, I'm there to put it out.
But what's going to happen to catch fire on gas logs?
No,
are the crazy dogs.
Are the dogs in a cage?
Yes.
No, they're running around. Maybe they could have thrown a tennis ball in there that bounced, caught fire, and rolled back out onto the carpet.
That's stuff he worries about.
I mean, could that not happen?
I mean, with the videos I've seen of your dogs, I wouldn't be surprised if they set the fire themselves.
Anything's on the table. They're scheming like, can we burn this joint down, you think?
Back to that, though, the reason I leave it on is because I've got a new rug in the living room, and so they like to lay on the rug in front of the fireplace. But if I don't have the fireplace on, they're not as mesmerized, so they're out doing stuff.
Okay.
Like I got literally pulled in the driveway the other day, and Bullet had opened the front blinds. I can't make this up. And he's standing on the living room table looking out the window waiting on me.
Yeah.
How did he open the blinds?
I have no idea. But Chili opened a full jar of peanut butter, ate the entire jar, then threw it up on the old rug that was down.
So it was closed?
Yeah.
It's like these dogs have thumbs?
You would think.
So anyway, let me open this peanut butter real quick.
So now the open flame doesn't concern you at all?
Yeah, the more he talks, the more it concerns me.
Are we sure they don't know how to use matches?
Yeah.
I'm not. I'll tell you this. I walked yesterday to put a couple of old school, sending some bills out, put them in the mailbox, put the flag up. By the time I did that and walked back to the car, Chili had already opened like a Mentos, the big thing of gum, and her face was in it eating it. I've already had to take her to the ER one time to get stomach pump.
Yeah.
These dogs.
Yeah. So it sounds like a good thing is that if they did catch the house on fire, they could use the fire extinguisher to put it out. They seem very smart.
And maybe.
Yeah.
But back to
the
it.
fire start, Bullet was out back smoking a cig.
Chili and Bullet know the Hemphill staff well because they've been in and out of the house. If you experience any plumbing, heating, or cooling issues in your home or business, trust the name Birmingham's Trust since 1954. Call Adam, Chad, Andrew, the guys there. Tell them the Next Round sent you. 205-229-2090 or hemphillservices.com.
Speaking of fires, Chili or Bullet not responsible for this one, but Indiana University of Indianapolis, riding back from a game against Northern Kentucky, Their team bus caught fire on Sunday. Look at that burnout.
I mean, burned it to the frame,
Yeah.
didn't it?
Wow.
Nobody was hurt. Everybody was able to get off. But the team lost $20,000 in uniform, practice gear, balls, sneakers, blah, blah, blah.
What was the cause of the fire?
Engine. The engine had a mechanical problem, and it caught fire. Burned the whole bus out. The students lost personal computers for doing their homework on over that. $20,000 for the team. A lot more personal stuff for the players. The school doesn't have a ton of money. Apparently, they're taking donations to replace some of the stuff. But luckily, everybody got out unharmed. But just a frightening scene there.
Man, I'm surprised. I guess it was a school-owned bus. You would think if it was a charter, the charter company's insurance would cover everything. You know,
right?
I mean, wouldn't you assume that? Like, if you were on a charter bus, you're on a school field trip, Jim, with your kids, and it catches fire and you lose your backpack with your computer in it, wouldn't you think their insurance would cover that?
Yeah, but it seems like my school policy would cover it too.
Well, I mean,
I don't want to know. I'm playing golf with my insurance agent today. I'll ask him, but I feel like if my Ford caught on fire and burned up my work bag, I would get a new iPad and a new laptop.
That's where the athletic director called the guy that handles the finances for the athletic department. He's like, hey, we had a bus fire, but we paid that bus insurance, right? And he's like,
you said cut back.
The bus fire insurance? No, we cut that in the last budget cut. Yeah, we thought that was a very remote possibility.
We'll women's lacrosse.
Hey, if they get good money out of this, little insurance fraud moving forward for NIL. Got an old bus that's not working. Let's burn it up.
All right, everybody, leave your backpacks.
Hey, remember when Scotty Scheffler got arrested going into the PGA Championship in Louisville? It is now the episode of Full Swing, the new one that's out on Netflix. Never seen before footage, interviews with Scheffler himself and players about the incident. If you want to relive that, it's Netflix Full Swing. That's out now. Remember how much we loved the Four Nations, Brown, back when you were a hockey fan last week?
Yeah, I was a passionate hockey fan for at least 3 hours.
You had that hat on last week, didn't you?
One like it, not that specific one.
I would tell you that, hey, congratulations. If you loved it, it may never happen again. Gary Bettman, the head of the NHL, says there may be no room in the future for the Four Nations to ever happen again.
What are you thinking? It was do you guys realize that game that I watched as a passionate hockey fan is the most viewed game in NHL history? Stanley Cup Finals, Game 7 of the Stanley Cup, All-Star Game.
Yeah, don't you make time for that?
Everything they've ever done, Jim. Everything they've ever done. That was the most watched game in NHL history.
Not ideal, not convenient, but if you've got those numbers to back it up, you got to keep rolling with it.
Schedule may not have room for it. 2026, they have the Olympics. 2028, they have World Cup hockey.
Well, I know about the Olympics.
Yeah.
That does change things a little bit.
2028, they have the World Cup of hockey, which is basically the same format, just with more teams, including Russia. So, Four Nations may never happen again, says Gary Bettman, who was in charge of the Four Nations, making it happen this year. Pretty crazy. Kumar Rocker, remember that name? Tracy Rocker's son, pitched at Vandy. Been a long road. Expected to be on the big league roster for the Rangers this year. He's in spring training. If things go as expected, he'll be one of the rotated starting pitchers for the Rangers. Remember that name there for Kumar Rocker. And that gets you up to date on everything going on except for the trash stories, which are brought to you by our friends at Mortgage Right. Tyler, hit it, man.
Another time I was watching a TikTok about Beyonce and someone in the comments said, "When's her birthday? Google it! Google it, Google it, Google it, Google it, Google it. Google is free, Google it." What the asking us for? By the time someone responded to you, you could have been Googled it.
LT's Trash is presented by Mortgage Right. Mortgages done the right way.
Second least favorite one.
All right, I got good feedback yesterday.
Damn, Dunaway's on your ass, man.
One day this week I'll play something funny.
Yeah, maybe not. But I got good feedback on the 64 bracket for trash opens. Jim immediately discounted it and didn't want to do it. But
I wanted to cut it to 32 or 16.
Yeah, which is discounting it and not wanting to do it. That's exactly what I just said. But I got a lot of people that are like, I would actually enjoy that because that's one of the things I most look forward to on the show. I'm not sure that what that says about us.
How many people said that?
Open, huh?
How many people?
I had one person, two people at lunch tell me that, and then two others texted.
You had somebody tell you the thing they look forward to most is
one of the things they look forward to the most. Is the trash open?
Yeah, that's not
I
a
said
high
I
bar
don't know
for
what
us.
I said. I don't know what it says about us, but
Yeah.
they watch every day. They like the trash opens.
It is buying season always. Our friends at Mortgage Right here to help. Veteran founded here in Birmingham, offer loans throughout the country. While the area they serve may have grown, their commitment to Birmingham and veterans has not changed. Before you take those next steps on a new home purchase or refinance, talk with the team at Mortgage Right. No cost or obligation to find out what you qualify for. You get more information, go to their website, mortgageright.com. Call the Highway 280 office, 205-970-200, NMLS 2239. Equal housing lender.
By the way, the both that I criticize will be 16 seeds.
Oh, they
so
might
we won't have to worry about them. I'm just making a point. I love the opens.
Yeah.
We just happen to play back-to-back my two least favorites.
Yeah, 2 16 seeds.
I mean, I really like both of those more
that's
than other
unfortunate.
ones we have in the list.
They will not be the 1 seed.
We are different generations.
Wow, I didn't know that.
There was a discussion about what would actually be the 1 seeds. I mean, and there are some good ones out there.
Yeah. She's blind.
Yes, I mean, it's a gay. I mean, blind is an automatic one. It might be the overall one.
Yeah, maybe the Auburn of opens.
Yeah. Another one that everybody agreed on that
the orgasm one, right?
Well, I would not have that as a 1 seed.
Oh, I would.
Oh, it's so good.
That's why we do this. Yeah, that's why we do this. What was another? Oh,
He sounds like he's in pain.
The Cure Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. By the
That was
sounds of
great.
it, no. I mean, that's
What about it? Drink good.
It drink good, don't it? We don't play that one anymore. I want to bring that one back. I don't know why.
I don't even know if I've heard
I
that
know.
one.
No,
Yeah.
we'll get that one back. That did not make the
Okay.
trip. The
Back it
trip
up,
over.
Terry.
Oh, I
Back it up, Terry is an easy 1 seed. Yes.
Well, you can only have 4-1, Brown. You
I
just
know.
named 5.
I see.
Typical Brown.
So one of the most ridiculous Pokemon collectibles of all time is fetching bids in the thousands after going viral years ago when it discovered in a pack of Flamin' Hot Cheetos. Now,
you
back in
serious?
2024, First and Goal Collectibles in Georgia revealed they had been doing some cleaning when they uncovered their Cheeto Zard in the back. Now, the Cheeto Zard is literally just a Cheeto shaped like a Charizard. Is that what it is?
Yep, you got it.
Do you know any of the words of this?
Hell no. But the orange snack was so cool, they decided to preserve it and add a Pokemon card frame. Now, eventually, Arena Club acquired the Flamin' Hot Cheeto after seeing how a Pikachu?
Pikachu is correct.
Sorry, I don't know my Pokemon. Shaped Cheeto sold for $26,000. Then they included it as a mystery card prize pack where one lucky buyer ended up getting their hands on them, which probably, I'm not even going to read that. It's really cheesy. It says turn their fingers orange. I guess anything you touch there, right?
Yeah.
February 10th, the Cheeto Zard resurfaced, this time on the Golden Auction Block, and fans are bidding big bucks for the non-official piece of Pokemon history. February 20th, the Cheetos top bid eclipsed the $1,000 mark, then jumped all the way to $1,500. At the time of this writing, the highest bid is a whopping $2,100, which is a lot to pay for a single Cheeto. Is that in the shape of something?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in the shape of a
yeah,
Charizard.
yeah.
It's a big dragon.
See the little character up top?
Yeah, I see it now.
Where's? Oh, okay. I see now. Yeah.
So is that 120 HP something points if I'm playing Pokemon?
So that was horsepower.
Yeah. If you've got if you're playing it, you have a health points and.
Health points.
Yeah.
So would my 120 beat something that had 100 HP?
I mean, it depends on what attacks you use. You might use like a lower attack and not be able to deal all 100.
Michael
damage.
in the My Book and IDG chat room says, "Can we also get a 64-team bracket of Lance saying Pokemon names?"
No.
Oh, that'd be great.
Are there 64 of them?
I don't know.
There's, I think there's like 1,000 now.
1,000?
It started
Exciting.
off with 151, and then they expanded to like 2 something, and then 300 and something.
My
and then it
nephew
just kept going.
My nephew gets those cards all the time, and he gets the rares. Is that what they call them? Like if you get a rare.
Yeah, there's like a rare, and then there's like holographic cards and stuff.
I mean, they're
People go
worth money
crazy
though,
over.
aren't they?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I hope my nephew cashes right in. Shares it with his favorite uncle.
So,
I
P.
didn't know
Diddy.
your brother had another brother.
P. Diddy back in the news. One of Sean Diddy Combs' defense attorneys quit the disgraced music producer's criminal sex trafficking case, new court papers show. Anthony Rico filed a motion Thursday to withdraw as one of the 6 defense attorneys without explanation. Rico's bid to step down won't be official until a judge signs off on it. The judge must find sufficient reason to approve such a request. Now, Rico wrote in Manhattan Federal Court affidavit, quote, "Under no circumstances can I continue to effectively serve as counsel for Sean Combs. It is respectfully but regrettably requested that the court grant the relief requested. Now, the lawyer did not elaborate on why he wanted to step down, but noted the decision came after speaking with Combs' lead counsel, Mark Angfilo. The attorney suggested the cause for his affidavit's brevity is because he didn't want to divulge any information protected by attorney-client privilege. But he did tell the judge there are, quote, sufficient reasons for asking to be let out of the case.
So let me ask you legally, can I, if I am starting to represent you and we get where I'm learning to help you and defend you and I get in and I am so disturbed by what you're telling me, can I go to the judge then and say, listen?
I think that's exactly what happened here.
I can't
with a good conscience defend this.
And then if
client.
you're a judge there, you're like, okay, you have defended 4 pedophiles here. I mean, that's the thing. If you're on the defense team, I think you just have to have no conscience, right? But that's the reports on this is this guy saw the details and was like, I'm out.
And apparently this guy who is just left Diddy's legal team has also represented Osama bin Laden.
Okay, so this is going to be a tough argument then for him that, like, what I saw scared. Well, you represented Osama bin Laden. You got that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, ultimately, I think what people don't.
I mean, how bad is your case if you're looking at it and going, it's like, you know what? Osama had a better chance.
I stuck with him to the end.
Well, I mean, it's sometimes, and not to be patriotic here, but you're not necessarily winning the case.
You're holding their hands
trying to get the best result.
And you're basically giving them every advantage of the legal system.
Well, you're ensuring they get a fair trial so that there's no appeal.
So you've got to have defense attorneys.
Yeah, and that's what you can tell yourself.
For the most horrible people in the world, you've got to have defense attorneys to make the system work.
Yeah, because if the trial gets all screwed up, guess what? They got a bunch of appeals. And then their justice is delayed. And if you get a good, clean, fair trial, you might get quicker justice.
Yeah, you really have to believe in the system. You know, my brother's a defense attorney. I've got a good friend that's a defense attorney, but man, that'd be tough to do.
Well, but it's not always like the Lincoln Lawyer on television or the book where you're taking someone who's in prison who is innocent and you're trying to solve the case and get them out. Oftentimes, you've got the worst of the worst, and you just have to represent them to make the system work.
But to your point, you got to be good enough to hold the prosecution's feet to the fire that they are excellent because they've got the higher burden of proof. The prosecution does. Right. In theory, you enter as the defense with the assumption of innocence, right? In theory. I'm not sure that's always the case, but in theory, you do.
Where I would suck, where Shane is much better than me, but I would be like,
you would judge people.
Oh, 100%. I'd be like, I know the truth now, so how can I forget the truth? And then I got the prosecution who is effing up here. I can beat him now. But do I really want to beat him because I know this guy really did it and he sucks?
They take pride. Find that technicality, get my guy out.
Yeah, I know. I would be like, I'd be like, stay on the affidavit there.
The most amazing thing about this case is he's still alive. I mean, it blows me away.
Who, did he?
That Diddy's still alive.
Well, nothing's come out yet, though, right? As far as the whole list or any of that, or
not yet.
It's still leaking out little by little, right?
I mean, the Epstein list hasn't even come out.
Yeah, that's this week, right?
I've heard that before.
According to my TikTok.
Yeah, no, I've heard before. It's coming out Friday. I'll believe it when I see it.
Biggest
it was
list
also
since
supposed to come out when Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted.
Yeah, and it never
Nothing
did.
ever came of that.
You might have been in your old man's sack back when this happened, but when we had the Ashley Madison list, I don't remember when that was.
Your dad used to camp?
I think I was in like elementary school when that happened.
Dude, that was crazy.
It was getting passed around everywhere, and people were passing it around like because there was a number, Tyler. It was like number 402. And people would text it to you like, look at numbers 402, 836, and 1039.
I was shocked with some of the local names that were on that list.
As was I.
Yeah.
And the vast majority of them were a complete misunderstanding. I was hacked. They just happened to use my email address.
It was my credit card too. I don't know how.
It was a weird act.
As viral as that list went, I can't even imagine these two lists when they actually come out.
Oh, are you serious?
Orange County fire crews faced a challenging rescue operation on Friday evening when a man got stuck between two walls.
This doesn't look real.
Wow.
It looks like that guy's too small to be an actual human. There's just it's a forced perspective thing, but that looks like an action figure.
Now, the incident
how did I get there?
Reported just before 6:30 p.m. in the photo that you see here, posted to X. You can see the man stuck between what is described as a residential wall in a commercial wall. Now, the Orange County Fire Authority's technical rescue team used a high-point rescue technique to safely extract the man. It's unclear how the man got stuck, but authorities said he was not injured. I will say he was not doing something that is going to benefit us or society for him to get stuck in this crevice.
It's hard to get there. I heard a baby crying. I thought maybe it was down there. I was going to go save the baby.
Why don't you take your shirt off, sir? My balls was hot.
Yeah.
Could he have dropped his cell phone?
Potentially.
I wouldn't have gone in there after that, to be honest with you.
I wouldn't either.
I actually would have gotten a string, a tennis ball, some gum on the end of it, and tried to drop it in there and stick it on the cell phone.
I know it's a forced perspective, but this just does not look like a real photo.
Because you can't see his legs, Brown.
Well, yeah, but like the bottom right is the firefighter's hand.
Yeah.
And look how small the guy looks.
Yeah,
he's a long way away.
He is a long way away. He's got a...
Well, I'm not saying he's going to play in the NBA, bro.
Yeah, I think he might be 5'2".
I mean, he's got C cups that need, maybe Dr. B's help on those things.
Honest to goodness, though, it does look like a movie that you would go see. Like, that's the devil, a demonic figure that's about to crawl out really fast and scare me.
By the way, I don't like horror films, Dunaway. I just feel like, no, not at all. Not a big horror film. First of all, they suck for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, I like, depressing, disturbing stuff, but it doesn't have to be horror.
But you
yeah, somebody fall in a crevice. I mean, that's child's play compared to some of the stuff.
But if that guy fell into a crevice and his head got decapitated by that wall there, you'd watch the video.
I don't know if I would. Like, I like seeing
explosions.
Yeah, I mean, like decapitations, a little more like lightning strikes. I mean, those are kind of funny
to watch people get struck by lightning.
Yeah.
You don't see many of those, though.
You don't.
Yeah.
I mean, when you just got a dude walking across a parking lot and he gets popped, and it's just.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
But if you take ketamine, it'd be like it was animated.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I did think about that. Like the woman said, it was like being in your own cartoon.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That is fascinating to me. Like, do you just immediately envision like Laffy, Bugs Bunny, and
hey? So this was
Daffy
legitimately
Duck?
1999 when she said this. So over 25 years ago. So ketamine's been around for a long time.
Well, people in the chat were saying they use it now for depression. I mean, that's obviously a dialed back version from what the bartender was trying to force on Lance. I would imagine,
or a dialed up version because it's actually from a lab and not made in somebody's like bathtub or something.
Yeah, but that's a fine line. It's like I know people that are like, I just. I'll smoke flower, but I'm afraid to take an edible because I don't know how much is in it and I can't control it. Like, how much ketamine do you have to take to be somewhat happy but not be in a cartoon?
Not be in a cartoon.
It's administered by a doctor and like you're
a veterinarian, right? I mean,
depending on where you go, I guess.
If you're a horse or a human.
But it would be wild, Brownie, to your point, to sit here and look across when I'm as hungry as I am right now, and you turn into one of those cooked turkeys with your head on it.
Will you do this Friday with me? I saw this thing, and you guys have probably seen it before.
I can't wait to hear what ketamine made him think
to go
of.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, probably not.
No, I think this would be a fun experiment. Right. So when I was doing my dry January, my 41 days of sobriety, I came across, and it's obviously our phones listen, it is mushrooms, a mushroom liquid.
Okay.
And so this guy swears by it on Instagram, and he's like, man, I used to drink. He was like, I was getting a gut. I was feeling lethargic. I discovered mushrooms. I've got this, incredible sensation. It doesn't take anything away from watching football. I get a good buzz. So anyway, I've got a bottle of this mushrooms.
I will not. I got invited.
But it's not the shrooms you would think.
Okay.
It's
I got invited on an excursion.
No.
Trip. A chef was going to come over and.
No.
And
so this is called, I think it's called Little Saints. You can pull it, or Tyler, it's legitimate. I've tried it. It's a little earthy, but we can mix it with one of these Sprite Zeros, knock the bottle out on Friday and see what happens. I'm down if you're down.
For content?
We'll start at 9 o'clock.
No.
I mean, there's no harm.
Let Brown do it. Brown,
will you do it?
Brown's more adventurous these days.
Tyler, will you do shrooms with me on Friday? They're not the shrooms that you pick out of cow shit.
It says they're organic reishi mushrooms.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It means they're really good with a hamburger steak.
No, I mean, can you show us the bottle?
I like hamburger steak.
I mean, it's actually legitimate. I just, when I tried one or two of these cocktails, I didn't think it was a great taste. And I didn't give it enough to see where we would go on this thing, but I'm willing Friday. I'll bring the bottle and see what you think.
I'm willing to drive the show on Friday while you experience it.
Okay.
I'll be your Sherpa.
I tell you about, I knew a dude whose Sherpa fell off a cliff when they were...
Where was he going to Everest?
Yeah, they were at Everest.
Oh, so you know a guy that was climbing Everest and his Sherpa fell off the cliff?
You know the guy, too. One of his best friends goes a lot, or has been multiple times to Everest, but yeah, dude fell in front of the whole group.
Man, that sucks right there now.
At that point, I am.
They were already more than halfway up. It was just one of those,
yeah.
oh, shit.
But I turn around, don't you, Jim?
Oh, I don't turn around. I'm back. I'm back down. Just the steps I came.
I mean, don't you think, though, like, the experienced guy just fell?
Yeah,
that's why I turn around. The guy that does this a lot.
I'm like, nobody panic. Let's all walk very slowly. Same footsteps, like we're in a landmine.
Hey, Brown, let me know if anybody in the chat says anything about the mushroom drink.
My iPad just died.
Why don't we just open it up? Why don't we
Okay.
just bring up 3 guests and the 4 of you sit in the green room? We'll put a camera in there, mic that thing up,
they're
record
not
it.
psychoactive.
Yeah,
so
that's the thing.
Nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah, I just think it's going to relax you. We'll see, but again, give it a shot.
Possibly coming to Friday's show. Brown and
Tyler
LT.
believes in the YOLO, right? Is that one of your acronyms?
That was something made during my life. Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. We'll try
Was
to-
that it?
That's it.
I was trash today. Brought to you by our
Oh
friends.
no, I didn't get to Pitbull. Do we have time
come
for
back
Pitbull?
tomorrow.
No, we got time.
Yeah, we got
we
time.
do it. Whatever. I don't care.
Okay, so Pitbull.
I got nowhere to be.
Gave a heartfelt thank you to fans attending his recent London gig wearing bald caps, saying, quote, "It was amazing to see." Now, hundreds, if not thousands of fans descended on the O2 Arena on Friday, donning bald caps, aviators, and leather jackets in spirit of Mr. Worldwide. Real name, Armando Christian Perez. Now, the international love singer currently embarking on a European leg of his Party After Dark tour, joined by Little John, while performing the only date in England, took a moment to thank fans.
So if he walks through Talladega, because he's a team owner this year,
He would
and I
be
go,
the most recognizable guy there because nobody at Talladega looks like Pitbull.
and I'll go, Armando, will he turn around, you think?
That's a good question. I would think
Probably.
so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a unique name. If it was Steve, probably
Yeah.
not.
But Armando, and then would I get my ass kicked because I called him Armando?
No, I bet he's a nice guy. Greg Sankey said he smelled
Yeah.
very pleasant.
And he's like 5'1", so I
Yeah.
wouldn't really
I don't
worry
think
about
it
it.
would
But he's
be
going to
nice.
have bodyguards.
He will have bodyguards.
Yeah.
I heard, yeah.
Nobody calls Pitbull Armando.
I literally, not only Sankey, I've heard that from a lot of people
That
that
he
he's
smells
a really.
pleasant?
Well, I don't know about that. I've heard that's the only time I've heard he smells good.
Yeah.
But I've heard he's really nice.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at that.
He goes on to say, now I want to thank a lot of people, everybody who came out here in bald caps, B-A-L-D caps here tonight. It's amazing to see, amazing to feel, and I hope when you put one of those bald caps on, you feel just like I do, having a good mother effing time every day of my life.
Absolutely. Me do. I do.
Old bald cap there,
Yeah.
Jimmy D.
Every time.
Hey, that's your Halloween next year. You could go as Pitbull.
Halloween got to be something different. I'm that 364 days.
Well, I mean, you put your designer shades on.
I mean, do either this or the Six Flags guy from the commercials.
Hey, by the way, thank you, Tyler. That's now my least favorite comment you've ever made.
Hey, we're going to get a little
Just giving
rivalry
you some
going here. I
ideas for
like it.
Halloween.
Louisville sent me a pair of oversized glasses yesterday, wanted me to vote for their coach for National Coach of the Year.
Pat Kelsey?
Yeah, apparently he wears big glasses.
Yeah.
I don't even know who he is.
Well, you added to
he's
your
done a good job,
collection.
yeah.
You had the Raiders of the Lost Ark glasses.
But to think
Those
that
never showed back up. You remember them?
do they think I'm going to vote for somebody not in the SEC?
Yeah, really.
Please.
Did you look at my mailing address when you said
This
that?
year. I mean,
Hey.
it showed up at the house yesterday. Maggie's like, what's this from Dana at the University of Louisville? And I was like, I don't know who Dana at the University of Louisville. Of course you don't.
Yeah,
and I opened it up.
sure.
But as I'm opening it up, I'm like,
Do you follow her on Instagram now?
I don't.
Dana could be
but
a
I
dude.
opened it up, and it's a pair of oversized glasses. I wore them at poker last night.
Good thing
Didn't
it's
help
not
my loss.
oversized underwear.
Hey, by the way, you want to finish with a quick story?
Yeah.
This coach in this school agreed to a contract extension right before the season, and this could be a big story.
Is it football? Or
It's basketball. Right before the season, agreed to a contract extension.
Oh, I hope it's Hubert Davis in North Carolina.
Dunaway has nailed it. It's Hubert Davis in North Carolina. Agreed to a contract extension through 2030.
Oh, yeah, he ain't going nowhere.
Right before the season started.
And how much money is it worth?
It
What's the
doesn't. There's no
buyout?
details
It
yet.
doesn't matter. No way he's going anywhere.
No, I'm telling you, growing buzz is North Carolina wants Nate Oats bad. So
Well,
Alabama's got to defend him every
What do
year.
they say? One hand, shit in the other?
Let's circle back to that tomorrow. Can you remember me to bring that up? Because I got some things I could say about that.
Yeah.
I've actually got some information on
Absolutely.
that story.
I mean, it's going to be every year. I mean, you got a guy like Nate Oates.
If y'all are
every
talking
year.
that, I'm not showing up tomorrow.
No, this is
don't show up.
I'm not.
You drink some mushroom juice
Yeah,
tomorrow.
that's what I'm doing. I'll see you guys Thursday.
See you next Thursday. It works on Thursday, too. All right, that's the show. Until next time, God bless you and God bless America.